I'd like to welcome you to the Monroe County's Plan Commission meeting. And I'd also like to welcome a new member. Mr. Scott Ferris has graciously agreed to join our committee. So welcome and thank you for coming and agreeing to serve. And also thank you to Mr. Bernie Garitas for all of his service here on the committee thus far. We really appreciate his service to date. So thank you so much. So with that being said, Ms. Nestor Jelen, will you please call the roll?
Sure. John and Ray Randolph.
Here.
Scott Ferris. Here. Jeff Morris. Cheryl Munson.
Here.
Edward Ullman. Dee Owens.
Here.
Jerry Pittsford.
Here.
Julie Thomas.
Here.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
And then Chris Cockrum, our city representative.
Here.
Okay, so we have 7 members in attendance and a quorum in person of 5 people.
Okay, with that, our first order of business is to execute the oath of office for Mr. Scott Ferris. Would you kindly repeat after me? And raise your right hand. I, Scott Ferris, do solemnly swear
I, Scott Ferris, do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of Indiana,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Indiana,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform my duties
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform my duties
as a Monroe County Plan Commission member
as a Monroe County Plan Commission member
according to the law and to the best of my skill and ability.
according to the law and to the best of my skill and ability.
Well, thank you so much, and if you would kindly sign that, then we'll be able to count your votes going forward. Okay, with that being said, is there a motion to introduce the evidence tonight? So move.
I so move.
I second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to introduce the following items into the evidence. The Monroe County zoning ordinance as adopted and amended. The Monroe County comprehensive plan as adopted and amended. The Monroe County subdivision control ordinance as adopted and amended. The Monroe County Plan Commission rules of procedure as adopted and amended. And the cases that were legally advertised and scheduled for a hearing on tonight's agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the introduction of evidence. Scott Ferris.
Yes.
Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Dee Owens.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Julie Thomas.
Yes.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 7-0.
Okay, and is there a motion to approve the agenda tonight as advertised and amended?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda as presented. A vote in favor is a vote to approve. Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Dee Owens.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Julie Thomas.
Yes.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Scott Ferris.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Okay, and there are no minutes to approve. And the first item under administrative business is SIA-22-15, Kemp Minor Subdivision, request for release of performance guarantee. And if you'd kindly just review that with us, or if there's a motion on this. I think, is there anything that staff, Mr. Myers, would you like to review that with us?
Sure. Okay, so this is SIA 22-15, also SIA 24-1. That is the same SIA, it's just a separate record number. This is in regard to the Kemp Minor Subdivision final plat. It's at 4119 and 4123 West Carmola. And the purpose of this release guarantee is that the petitioner has applied for the performance bond guarantee release related to the Kemp Minor Subdivision for the release of $14,695, leaving a balance of $10,000 for the required 2-year maintenance bond. So that totals to the project of $24,695. That was posted as a letter of credit in February 28th, 2023. The petitioner has completed their subdivision improvement agreement. They were required to plant 6 street trees along with some construction of sidewalks along the subdivision's frontage to Carmola Drive. We do have some comments here from the MS4 coordinator talking about some additional modifications that might be required due to a 30-foot drainage easement as needed when the time comes to implement the highway department's plan to reconstruct Carmola Drive. However, that plan's been put on hold for the time being, so there are no further comments at this time for the release of the funds related to this subdivision improvement agreement. I just have some few items here. These are all included in your packet. This is the letter to the Plan Commission stating their request to release the funds, as well as their letter here that is a written assurance that there are no liens, releases, etc. on the property. Here I have the as-built plan that verifies that the street trees were planted as well as the sidewalks. Staff did perform a site visit and can confirm that the sidewalks and street trees are placed as detailed in this as-built. And then here I also included the grading plan for the property that was reviewed by the county MS4. So overall, staff recommends approval of the release of the performance bond guarantee for public improvements of $14,695 and the holding of the 2-year $10,000 maintenance bond. I'll answer any questions.
Do members of the Plan Commission have questions for Mr. Myers? Yes, Mr. Pittsford?
Yeah, regarding the reworking of Carmola Drive, is petitioner responsible for any portion of that, or is that all from, in terms of the drainage easement, is that all covered by the county?
Sure. So as part of some of the grade work that was done for the subdivision, the county MS4 upon inspection detailed that there might be some reworking of a culvert that they installed there should the plan go forward with reconstructing Carmola. So the petitioner is aware of that detail of reworking the culvert. Yeah, does that answer your question?
But I just want to be sure that, yeah, the petitioner is still responsible for that if that's their responsibility. And I don't know if that would be coming out of the $10,000 maintenance bond or if the reworking was just agreed to and will take place prior to that. See what I mean, I don't know. I mean, is the county responsible for all of the reworking of that?
So I do believe we have Kelsey on the meeting as well if she wants to speak, but my understanding is the estimate for the financial guarantee that you're reviewing does not include a line item for the grading work that was done. The grading work was approved under a grading permit that we requested as part of the subdivision. And so they've been made aware of the requirements for the improvements of the grading. I believe the structures that are shown are actually structures that the county would be putting in place as part of the Carmola Drive improvements. I don't think that those structures are included in the estimate nor on the petitioner to install, but the grade work was not completed when we did an inspection, and they've been, the MS4 coordinator is aware of that. And at this time, those structures are not planned to be put in, so it's not of importance at this moment that it is in.
Okay, so my question just was, you know, when that does become of importance, who's responsible, and are we retaining money in that $10,000 maintenance to cover that, or is the county covering it? So that's, sorry if I'm not asking a good question.
No, that's clear. The 2-year maintenance bond cannot be used for any further improvements. It's just in case the sidewalks or the street trees the street trees die or the sidewalk becomes cracked, we can use it in that manner. The grading work would be on the petitioner to implement at the time that the road work improvements would be made. And I don't know if Kelsey, if you want to add anything to that, but I don't believe that the Carmola Drive improvements have a timeline at this moment.
Hi, Jackie. This is Kelsey Batonia. As far as I know, there is no plan to implement the full reconstruction of Carmola. If it were to happen in the future, that area would probably need to be regraded anyway. Um, and with the scope of that road reconstruction, that grading is a really small part of the project. It would have to be restabilized once those storm sewers were to be installed anyway. So that's why I said right now I'm not going to worry about the grading because we're not redirecting any water to this drainage easement. But the fact that the property owner has a drainage easement on the property with potential planned improvements, they just need to know that either we can require them to regrade it or the county can go in and have their contractor regrade that drainage easement, just so that they're not surprised in the future.
Are there any other questions of staff by members of the Plan Commission? Mr. Ferris, Mr. Enright Randolph, okay. Now we move back to the members of the Plan Commission for further discussion and or a motion. I can't see if Julie Thomas had questions or if Dee had questions. Okay, so with that being said, staff has recommended approval.
I'll make a motion. Case number SIA-24-1. I move to support staff's recommendation by releasing the performance bond guarantee for public improvement of $19,555 and holding the 2-year $10,000 maintenance bond.
A second.
I have a quick correction. The total should be 14,695. That is a typo. It should be 14,695.
Say that one more time.
The total for the recommendation should read 14,695.
Okay. And I would like to amend my motion to change the $19,555 to $14,695.
Agree.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve SIA-24-1, which is a request to release the performance bond guarantee for public improvements of $14,695, leaving the required 2-year $10,000 maintenance bond. A vote in favor is a vote to approve. Dee Owens,
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford,
Yes.
Julie Thomas,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes?
Trina Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Scott Ferris,
Yes.
Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so we're moving on to unfinished business, and I would like to make an announcement that anybody who is here for a final hearing on North Maple Grove Road, that has been withdrawn by the petitioner, so we will not be hearing that case tonight. Okay, so if you're here for that particular case on North Maple Grove Road, there's no need for you to stay. So we're proceeding on to new business, and the first item is number 1, PUO-23-1, Whaley PUD Outline Plan Amendment number 2. This is the preliminary hearing, and a waiver of the final hearing has been requested concerning 2 parcels totaling 12.34 acres in Van Buren Township, Section 14 at 4810 West State Road 45. And I believe Mr. Smith will review this case with us. So we look forward to hearing from him.
Thank you. So the request by the petitioner is an amendment, so a plan unit development outline plan amendment to allow for the filling of all sinkholes on the western portion of the property for the after the fact filling of 2 sinkhole conservancy areas and to add 1 new use to the permitted use list of the Whaley PUD, which is boat and RV storage. The purpose is to bring the property into compliance with the Whaley PUD ordinance and to resolve enforcement case AC-22-21. And then it should be noted that without amending the PUO, the site will remain in violation of the Whaley PUD ordinance. So there's quite an extensive history to this PUO, so I'm going to go through some of the highlights throughout the years. So in 1997, the property was rezoned from light industrial to PUD, and that case number is 9712-PIO-02. And so this led the PUD to be rezoned closely as it relates to the light industrial areas with the inclusion of cut stone and stone products to accommodate the use at the time, which was the 3D Stone Company. And then in 1998, this PUD was amended to change a condition that moved the area of permitted grading further west, but not to exceed the delineated line located on Exhibit 3 of the PUD ordinance. So this change included language specifically prohibiting development within 25 feet of the sinkhole conservancy areas, and the Plan Commission at the time did go ahead and add additional language at the time of approval, and those are that the petitioner submit drainage information required for the drainage board to the planning department as part of the development plan file, and that no further development west of the demarcated areas of disturbance as shown on Exhibit 3 be enabled except through the outline plan amendment process. So that's what the current property owners are doing now, is going through the outline amendment process. So in 2014, K&S Roloff purchased the property and received a development plan approval and land use certificate. But this development plan did not include disturbance within the 25 feet of the sinkhole conservancy areas. So at some point between 2015 and 2019, grading over what is known as sinkhole A and fill over what is known as sinkhole B are evident per aerial imagery. Staff is unsure exactly when this occurred, so that's why we have it as sometime between 2015 and 2019. In 2022, a use determination was issued or was submitted and inquired about convenient storage, but this is no longer being pursued by the petitioner. However, in June of 2022, the enforcement case AC 2221 was opened due to the fill in the sinkhole areas. So on August 24th, a grading permit was submitted, but this is still active pending the resolution of the outline plan process and the enforcement case. And then in 2023, this is when the outline plan amendment was submitted. April 5th, it was taken to the drainage board and reviewed, and they provided comments as well. So this is aerial imagery from 2014, 2016, and I believe this is 2019. Yes. So in 2014, this is as the property was when K&S purchased the property. And at some point between that period and 2016, we see in the southwestern portion of the property, which is also where sinkhole A is located, we see great disturbance of the land overall. And then into 2019, in the northern part of the property, we see more fill being added in the area that is known as sinkhole B. And then these operations continued into 2020, 2021, and 2022. So the latest development plan that was approved in 2014 is located on the screen. It's noted as Figure 1. So since the approval development plan and the issuance of the land use certificate, the property has expanded and filled into two areas circled in red of the property that were noted as sinkhole A and sinkhole B. According to our records, there were no grading permits issued to do this. Therefore, the filling in and disturbance of the two sinkhole areas is a violation of the PUD ordinance. And a separate letter was mailed to the owner on June 8th, 2022 under the enforcement case. So part of this outline plan amendment, the petitioner has submitted reports both from the Hydrogeology Incorporated and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. So I included full reports in the staff packet, but I'll go ahead and summarize kind of the main points that the reports made. So under the hydrogeology report, it found no obvious impacts from the existing laydown area for parking in sinkhole A. Sinkhole B identified to have been partially filled with pulverized concrete, but no obvious impacts were observed during the field study. It did note that due to the elevation of the fill site being higher than the surrounding properties, those properties could face surface runoff from the site. So from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management report, it identified much of the site to contain unpainted concrete, some of which had black plastic sticking out, which is noted as likely being the linear material in the bed of the roll-off. However, because no loose black plastic or concrete material was observed directly in the sinkhole, their investigation was closed out with no violations having been observed. And then these are just some staff photos. It's been a while since this was heard at the Plan Review Committee, so that's why it's green. So the site plan on the left-hand side, that's what we have currently with this petition. And then the one that's on file that was approved from 2014 is on the right. And you'll notice that due to the disturbance, particularly with sinkhole B, the shape has been altered because of that fill. So the outer contours have been adjusted. So the next 3 slides are going to be dedicated to our staff recommendation. So if anyone has any questions at the end of it, please let me know and I can try to clarify. So staff does have 6 recommendations for this petition, both positive and negative. So I'll go through them. Number 1, staff recommends forwarding a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for adding the use of boat and RV storage only in the allocated area per the petitioner's submitted site plan, that's known as Exhibit 2, due to its compatibility with the comprehensive plan. Number 2, staff recommends forwarding a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for the after-the-fact disturbance of designated sinkhole B in its current state with no further disturbance and subject to the Hydrogeology Incorporated and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management reports. Number 3, staff recommends forwarding a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for the after-the-fact disturbance of designated sinkhole A in its current state with no further disturbance and subject to the Hydrogeology Incorporated and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management reports. Number 4, staff recommends a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for allowing storage in the area outside of sinkhole A. Number 5, staff recommends forwarding a negative recommendation to the county commissioners to allow for the proposed additional 7 feet of fill to be placed on sinkhole B. Number 6, staff recommends forwarding a negative recommendation to the county commissioners to allow for any new disturbance or storage of materials within any of the sinkholes located on the property as requested in the petitioner's outline plan statement. With these 6 recommendations, staff does have 2 conditions of approval to tie to it. So the following conditions are recommended by planning staff based on plan review and the MS4 coordinator's comments as a result of the drainage board. Number 1, petitioner comply with drainage board conditions stated at the April 5th, 2023 meeting, including A, bioretention design criteria for the site should include release rates aligned with the critical watershed levels, and B, use amended soils and deep-rooted vegetation with limited maintenance requirements for bioretention infrastructure. And number 2, petitioner creates a definition, their own definition, which includes boat and RV storage. And just to clarify what these recommendations mean, I created this illustration. So For recommendation 1 for the boat and RV storage, and as a reminder, that was a positive recommendation. That is outlined in blue here, so it's this blue box on the eastern portion of the property. Number 2, the after the fact fill of sinkhole B, also a positive recommendation, and that's outlined the best I could in yellow. 3, after the fact disturbance of sinkhole A, also a positive recommendation, and that is also outlined here. 4, storage outside of sinkhole A, and that is that kind of weird shaped purple area. So that just includes the area of disturbance that's currently there and what we are recommending be allowed so long as it remains outside of that red area, which is the sinkhole. Number 5, additional 7 feet of fill in sinkhole B. That is on the right-hand side of the screen, and you'll notice that it encompasses a lot of the same area as the number 2 recommendation. The only difference is that this is located on the outside of the new outermost contour of sinkhole B. And then number 6, which is further disturbance within all sinkhole areas, which staff is recommending a negative recommendation to the county commissioners. Any questions?
You made that very clear, and I really appreciate this drawing, this color-coded drawing, so thank you for going over that with us. Do members of the Plan Commission have any questions for Mr. Smith? No? And I can't see online if Dee or Julie?
Yeah.
I see.
Julie has her hand up.
I think,
Yeah, I have a question about the definition being completed, and I also am curious about what we know about whether we want this covered or not covered, and if the Drainage Board offered insight into that.
Ms. Thetonia, did you hear the question? She wondered if you had any concerns or questions about whether the sinkhole should be covered or not uncovered.
Not the sinkhole, the storage.
Yeah, the storage, yes. Ms. Thetonia?
Yeah, I don't have any, design standards on my end for storage, but I will wait to see what they propose in site plan. And we will be looking at water quality treatment measures. It will be easier, of course, if the storage area is covered, but if not, we will have a system of treatment measures to treat that runoff before it reaches a sinkhole.
I'm not sure if staff understood that. Could you paraphrase it? Because I had a difficult time understanding.
So
Sure.
if this, oh, go ahead, Kelsey.
So we will require water quality treatment measures for the runoff coming from the storage area, whether it's covered or not.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I heard you, but because of the quality of the sound, I'm just having trouble discerning it. Did you make it out?
Yes,
Yes.
and so just to speak a little bit further about Ms. Thetonia's comment. So if this is approved tonight at the Plan Commission and this is approved later at the County Commissioners, they will be required to do a development plan
I
or a
see.
site plan review.
Yes.
And that will go through an MS4 review at that point. So I think Ms. Thetonia's point is that she will make sure that at that point the Drainage Board conditions can be met.
Okay, perfect. Does that satisfy you, Commissioner Thomas? Okay, so we will now turn to the petitioner and or the petitioner's representative. And if you would kindly come up to the podium and introduce yourself, and you have 15 minutes to present to us your case. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, well, if you could turn on that microphone, I think it would be better. It should turn green. The right button, if you hold it.
Good.
That's good. Thank you.
All right, I'm Daniel Butler I'm with Bynum Fanning Associates. I'm a civil engineer on this project. I'm here tonight also with representatives and owners from Canis, roll-off. Mr. Keith Klein and Bill Williams is here with me tonight. Also, we did bring the representative from hydrogeology. If you have any questions or would like to ask any questions about the extensive study done in the different sinkhole areas on this property. And so Mr. Jason Crothy is here tonight as well with me. We've been, as she was, or Sean was explaining the timeline, we've been working on this for quite some time, and we know it's after the fact, but we've added survey services to our end when they got us involved to get an accurate depiction of what's going on in the site because it's changed. And so we wanted to see what the differences were, and so we've been working with the drainage board and Kelsey to try to see what impacts happened here with this, with the fill that got put in the sinkholes. And so we did a survey and then also did different calculations and determined that these impacts did not impact neighbors or cause extra flooding. And also the karst expert kind of, had his study done as well and believed that it can stay where it's at. And that's why after working a long time and doing these different studies, that's how we came to the conclusion with the staff that this could be a positive recommendation or a good outcome the way it is right now. I wanted to address the one that they gave a negative recommendation for, and that's additional fill within, we were asking for 7 feet of additional fill within that kind of sinkhole B area. And I just wanted to explain what that was. As part of their organization, or what they do is when they bring these back and there's hardened concrete there, they want to on-site pulverize that and put it somewhere. So if we say no to that one, they would just have to find a different place for it. So it's just a good thing as people need their services to allow for that, and it would be clean fill that would be brought in 7 feet. And so we did a grading plan. That's what our plan shows to see what that would look like and go no more than that. They give negative recommendation on that one, but I just wanted to explain that a little bit more. Commissioner Thomas asked about the covered versus uncovered area for outdoor storage. That outdoor storage is meant for their containers. And so we would ask that wouldn't have to necessarily be a condition to do covered storage, because they're containers that wouldn't necessarily need protection from elements or anything like that. So I just want to explain what that one was for. And then the boat and RV storage is pretty self-explanatory. And we tried to get it in areas where the staff would be amenable to, where that goes on site, and try to have a new site plan that they can work with. Once again, that has been heard and approved and studied. But I'm happy to answer other questions, but please use the rest of our people that I brought with me for any other questions.
Do other people who are with you, do they wish to speak? No? No? Okay, so, there will be an opportunity for those who are in favor of the petition to speak for 3 minutes and those opposed. But meanwhile, I'd like to turn to my colleagues on the Plan Commission to see if there are any questions. And I see Mr. Enright Randolph has a question.
Yeah, and it's before we maybe move to public comment, and I think since we have 5 here, I would need to remain seated, and I need to use the restroom real quick. So I was wondering if we could take a minute break for me to.
Yes, we'll take a pause here because we won't have a quorum for just a short minute. So we'll return to this in a minute. And in the meantime, if there's anybody in the room who has not yet signed in and who would like to speak, it'll save us time as we go through this lengthy evening. If you come up to the podium and sign in with your name, your email address, and your phone number, and that way you won't have to do it before you speak. So thank you for helping us expedite this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll reconvene as soon as everybody's finished signing in. And Mr. Butler, if you'd kindly return to the podium, and while you're in return, Mr. Enright Randolph, if you have a question,
No questions,
okay.
no. Thank
And
you.
do other members of the plan, Mr. Pittsford?
Yeah, I just have one question, because I reviewed the PUD that was approved in 98, and it says, no further development west of the demarcated areas of disturbance as shown on Exhibit 3 is very clear. Who filled the sinkholes in?
KNS
It
is
says
what
K and S roll-off.
Okay. Were they not aware of the conditions of the PUD?
Could you kindly come to the podium, sir? Sorry. And state your name, sorry.
Keith Klein.
Thank you, Mr.
Roll-Off.
Klein.
No, we weren't aware we were doing anything wrong. We didn't realize that we had incumbent on that sinkhole itself. We thought we were still back from it.
Okay. Well, it just always disturbs me when a PUD goes through the process and this is clearly established. There's a drawing. It's very clear. And then for that to be disregarded just because the property changed hands, it's like the zoning changing on a piece of property just because it changed hands. The PUD is in effect the same enforcement as a zoning. And I just can't stand seeing this. I just want to make that note. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll check with the other commissioners, Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Owens, if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll turn to the public.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so if there are members of the public who are here in the room, please, who would like to speak in favor of this petition, please come to the podium. And you would have 3 minutes each to speak in favor of this petition. Or if there's anybody online who could raise their virtual hand, and I don't know if they can, is it possible for somebody to speak if they've called in by telephone?
I believe they can speak, but I don't believe they can raise their virtual hand.
How do they get recognized?
I think that they would have to just, if we saw a phone number, I think we would just have to unmute them. But
I see.
That may be a good question for tech services.
Okay. Okay, so I don't see anybody requesting that they be recognized. So if there are members of the public in opposition to this petition, please either come to the podium or make yourself known through the online sources, through this groups or meetup or whatever it is, to be recognized. And I see no one. And since there's no opposition to this petition that's been made known publicly, we turn now to the members of the Plan Commission for further discussion and or a motion. Yes, Mr. Enright Randolph?
I'm really kind of curious of what kind of difficulties or hindrance this may be to their goals with, I guess, recommendation 5 with additional 7 feet of fill in sinkhole B and staff's negative recommendation. I'm just trying to get a sense how this impacts you more directly.
Mr. Butler said that they would just move the scrap stone to another area on the property. He already stated that wouldn't be such a big deal. And you're welcome to come back, Mr. Butler. Yes.
I can answer that
Yes.
a little bit more.
Okay, great.
I discussed with the clients a little bit, and I think it just causes, I think, prices generally for people who use the services, because they would have to take it not necessarily local, or they don't have a place on the property to pulverize it in a manner that's easier. They would have to take it perhaps further. And so that would be the implication of not allowing them to do any further on the property.
Okay, and I guess, let me see if I got that straight. Basically, you won't be able to provide a service on site, or at least currently you don't have a space for it unless you are allowed to have that additional fill, which I completely agree with Jerry, and I most likely will not be going against staff's recommendation, but I did want to understand the difficulty it did present to you, so thank you.
Okay, is there a motion? I don't see if Julie Thomas, Commissioner Thomas or Owens have questions or items for further discussion. But if members of the commission, okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to make a motion. Am I allowed, Mr. Pittsford?
I don't know if you are or not, but I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, great.
If you would like to entertain one. In case number PUO-23-1, this is a request for planned unit development outline plan amendment 2 for the Whaley PUD, and it includes a waiver of final hearing. And I am including in this motion a waiver of final hearing. In this matter, I am going to follow staff recommendation, and therefore my motion would be to forward a positive recommendation for adding the use of boat and RV storage only in the allocated area per the petitioner's submitted site plan, which is Exhibit 2, due to its compatibility with our comprehensive plan. 2, that we forward a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for the after-the-fact disturbance of designated sinkhole B in its current state with no further disturbance and subject to the Hydrology Incorporated and Indiana Department of Environmental Management reports. That we forward a positive recommendation to the county commissioners for the after-the-fact disturbance of designated sinkhole A in the current state with no further disturbance and subject to, again, the Hydrology Incorporated and Indiana Department of Environmental Management reports. 4, that we forward a positive recommendation for allowing storage in the area outside of sinkhole A. And if we need to go paint it on the ground, we should. And that we forward a negative recommendation to the commissioners, county commissioners, for the allowing of an additional 7 feet of fill to be placed on sinkhole B, and that a negative recommendation be forwarded to the county commissioners in regard to allowing for any disturbance or any storage of materials within the sinkholes located on the property as requested in this petitioner's outline plan statement. My motion again includes waiver of final hearing. That is my motion in full.
Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion and a second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to send various recommendations to the county commissioners for PUO-23-1, as stated by Plan Commission member Mr. Pittsford. A vote in favor is a vote to send the recommendations as stated by Mr. Pittsford and as stated in the staff report. Julie Thomas?
Yes.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Yes.
Thank you. Margaret Clemens?
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph?
I just need a clarifying question to be answered. With the conditions that were listed after the staff's recommendations, do the staff recommendations basically ensure that those conditions are going to be met as well?
That would be a friendly amendment to Mr. Pittsford. Does that include 1A and B and 2 conditions in the staff report as well?
Yes, and I'm sorry that my motion failed to include those. And thank you, Tron, for catching that. Sorry about that, folks.
Okay. Does the second still stand?
Second still stands. Okay.
Okay. I vote yes.
Okay.
And my vote is still yes.
Okay. Let me go ahead and read those conditions out loud just for sake of clarity. So the conditions are recommended by planning staff based on plan review and the MS4 comments as a result of drainage board review. 1, petitioner comply with drainage board conditions stated at the April 5th, 2023 meeting, including A, bioretention design criteria for the site should include release rates aligned with critical watershed levels. B, use amended soils and deep-rooted vegetation with limited maintenance requirements for bioretention infrastructure. And 2, petitioner creates a definition which includes boat and RV storage. I'll just go ahead and recall the roll. So it was first made by Mr. Pittsford, second by Scott Ferris. So Julie Thomas,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Scott Ferris,
Yes.
Cheryl Munson,
Yes.
Dee Owens,
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Butler and Mr. Klein. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item number 2 under new business, REZ-23-5, U-Haul rezone from IG to GB. Preliminary hearing. The waiver of a final hearing has been requested concerning 2 12.84 plus or minus acre parcels in Richland Township, Section 36 at 3274 and 3300 West Profile Parkway. And I believe Mr. Sean Smith is going to go over this with us again. Okay, great.
So the request for this petition is proposing to amend the zoning map from general industrial IG to general business GB. And the purpose is to rezone both properties from general industrial to general business, as the GB zone would allow for the mixed use of automotive rentals and convenience storage. So some background on this. In September of 2023, use determination, and that is use-23-51, was submitted to planning staff for a determination to be made if U-Haul would fit within the permitted use at both 3274 and 3300 West Profile Parkway. Staff determined that U-Haul best fell under both automotive rentals and convenience storage uses, with the business or industrial center, which is a multi-use category, serving as an umbrella term for both uses. In Chapter 833, which guides the development for the IG zone, does not have convenience storage as an option, and automotive rentals is not a permitted use in IG. Chapter 802, which guides the development for the GB zone, does have convenience storage and automotive rentals as permitted uses. And then, as previously stated, the business or industrial center is a multi-use category that would allow for the combination of both uses at the property. And then this is, these are the location and site conditions map. The county development ordinance designates this area as heavy industrial, and our maps are not updated with the parcel data, so I tried to outline it the best I could in red here. And then to the right-hand side, we have our current zoning map, and that blue indicates general industrial. So a discussion with a comprehensive plan. So this area is designated as mixed use. And I do have the definition here. So mixed use districts are the densest, most pedestrian oriented development types in the urbanizing area. This land use type will vary in terms of form, scale, character, and a specific mix of uses, depending on location, access, considerations, and existing development. So mixed use areas offer the greatest flexibility in terms of land use. And then on the right-hand side, I do have a map of the comprehensive plan with the 2 locations outlined in yellow. So phase 2 of the comprehensive plan includes this area, identifies this area as an employment district, which is noted as the west side development. And the definition here, the district includes properties to the north of the 3rd Street Gateway, extending generally to State Road 46 and generally designated as the employment land use type in the urbanizing area plan. It includes office, industrial, flex buildings, and it's intended to accommodate additional infill and redevelopment of these uses and benefit from the tax increment finance district opportunities, also known as TIF. And this district also includes industrial and office development, highway-oriented commercial uses, et cetera. And then on the right-hand side, we just have a snippet of the building type locations, and then I have highlighted what staff believes this type of use may fall under. So those would be commercial, it could be office building, what we have flex building option B, and large format flex industrial. And those are all directly from the comprehensive plan phase 2. So per the request made by the Plan Review Committee, this rezone petition was taken to the Redevelopment Commission on January 4th, 2024 for input regarding 1, the use of the property as defined in the staff report, and 2, the rezoning of the property, which allows for a large number of commercial uses at these locations. I did include like a brief summary of the Redevelopment Commission's comments in the staff report, but overall, the members of the RDC would prefer a use that offers high wages, has aesthetically pleasing build out, and employs a lot of people. However, the RDC did not see an issue with the rezone from GB or the proposed use, and would ultimately like to see the property put to use rather than be vacant. And then those RDC comments are on page 63 of the staff packet. But moving on to design standards. So IG and GB are very different when it comes to design standards. GB has significantly fewer restrictions than IG. And I have those listed here, and they're also listed in the staff report. Happy to go through them at the end if anyone wants to go through these. And then the next few slides, these are also included in the staff report, but the blue here are general industrial uses. It's enough that I can fit on one slide. I can't say the same for GB. So GB, we have all of these different uses, and I'm happy to come back to them if the Plan Commission members want to go back and review them. And then it continues. So a significantly greater number of uses in GB versus IG. These are just some department comments. Kelsey Thatonia, the MS4 coordinator, provided comments, essentially stating that this is in the Pinnacle Business Park development, so therefore drainage board approval would be required before any development could occur. And then also Ben Ayers and Paul Souderly of the Highway Department, stating that there are existing driveways. They don't necessarily have to be removed, but they wouldn't be permitting any new ones. So they would have to utilize the existing driveways. These are just some site photos of the site, currently vacant. This is U-Haul's conceptual site plan that they submitted to staff. They did state that they would be open to amending the site plan to fit community standards, but this is what they have thus far. And then this is just the Pinnacle Business Park major subdivision, just one part of it, and then lots number 6 and 7 in the top right-hand corner. Those are the lots that are being proposed for this development, this rezone. So this concludes the staff report. So our recommendation is to forward a positive recommendation to the county commissioners based on the compatibility with the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there questions from the Plan Commission for Mr. Smith? I don't see any.
No.
None.
Okay. Then if the petitioner's representative would kindly come to the podium and introduce yourself, you'll have 15 minutes to go over your project with us. So thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Mason. Mason Smith. I work for U-Haul. I'm the company president for South Central Indiana. U-Haul's been in business since 1945. It's still ran by the same family that started it. We started with truck and trailer share and has evolved into self-storage. We expand based on a need, and we see a need in Bloomington, and we would like to be here.
Well, thank you. And are you just accepting questions now, then?
Yeah.
Or do you have more to present? Because this helps us out with the evening.
Anything else?
Okay.
Hello, my name is Mike Eastwood. I'm a president here in the state of Indiana as well. Nice to meet you guys. So we are currently proposing a 3-story build-out, roughly 700 storage units with an outdoor use as well. An exterior warehouse building that is a proposed 12,000 square foot. I can't remember. 15,000 square foot. These 3 parcels there are going to include our self-storage use. Okay, so currently we are doing 250 plus jobs across the country. We currently have multiples going on in Indiana, and our statistics show us that there's a great need here in the city of Bloomington. We've been here for years with our help of our small businesses that do U-Haul on the side, and we are actively trying to get into the community to help. We like to blend in the community. We like to be part of the community and good neighbors. We are clean and tidy, and we do offer a superior product. Currently, we are building out. I'm finishing one in the city of Noblesville. That's about a $15 million project. We can get you some photos if you'd like to see what a new U-Haul looks like. Sometimes when people think of U-Haul, they think of like the old 1970s style U-Hauls, which served a great purpose in the 70s, but don't really do much for us nowadays. And we do like to be part of the community in any way we can. We're open to suggestions. Currently, we have conceptual out. It's very early, and we're willing to hear anything that's needed.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Smith and Mr. Eastwood. Do members of the Plan Commission have questions for U-Haul, for the U-Haul people? I don't know if Commissioner Thomas or Commissioner Owens have questions.
I do not.
Okay. Councilmember Munson?
Thank you. I wonder about the other U-Haul businesses that are in Bloomington. What is your relationship to them?
Yeah, so they are essentially the lifeblood of our entire operation here in the city of Bloomington. We need more is where we're really at. I don't know if you've been around during the college season and seen some of these locations, but they get a little overrun because we don't have enough business here. Typically, the first thing that people see when they move to Bloomington is like it is a U-Haul. You drop your truck off, you move into your place, and you bring your truck back to us. So a lot of those small businesses, we need them and we need more, and our operation does not hinder them at all. It actually will help them, and we need more. So more small businesses is always a plus for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much. We're going to turn now to the public. Okay. Are there members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please come to the podium, make yourself known on the virtual screen. Or I see that a Mr. David Harstead has his hand raised, and if he could be unmuted, he'll have 3 minutes, and then we'll go to Randy after that. So, Mr. Harstead? If you could unmute yourself, or if text services could unmute him.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Dave Harstead. I'm a real estate agent and I'm a professor of real estate at the Indiana University, and I'm the listing agent for this site. And I didn't want, obviously I'm in favor of it because of what I do, but I wanted to give a little bit of background here on the site rather than just go into sales mode on you here. And so I've been the listing agent on this site for 13 years, believe it or not, and it's been and I'm really earnest about this. I've been very passionate throughout my life and career here on this site to try to get this site back into productive use. Everyone knows the history of this site, and thanks to many people, going back to Bill Williams and Steve Smith and myself, sitting around a table just trying to figure out how we get this going. On to more staff and more elected county people than I have time to thank for getting a road built through it that helped open it up. And then, of course, Warren Cutshaw, who has invested a lot of his own money and time to get this site back into productive use. And so, as a real estate person who does mainly office and industrial, I think it's kind of sometimes hard to understand where service industry uses like U-Haul or supply companies like electrical supply companies, HVAC companies, so on and so forth, fit into our economy. And I think it's important to spend a little time thinking about this. And so you're obviously the Plan Commission, and Bloomington has seen a lot of change in the last 13 years or so. And I've observed that since I-69 has come in, Vernal Pike crossover was cut off, Industrial Drive was built out. Many of our service industries, many of our industries that do supply companies and that sort of thing, storage, have gravitated away from that corridor for good reason. And this land, as staff has, I think, accurately described, is truly transitional land. And it's hard to understand sometimes why these industries are growing. And it really goes to our base industries. Bloomington, of course, is our economy is eds and meds. And when IU grows and when Cook grows and when Catalent grows, it's not always obvious, but we need more air conditioners. We need more U-Hauls, so on and so forth. And so they're an integral part of the whole economic engine that makes Bloomington work. And so I want to, make clear that, I've fielded dozens or hundreds of calls, I guess, probably over the years for this site. And the common theme has honestly been supply companies, service industries in support of our economy. And so I really think they are important parts of our economy. And I really think it's important to get this site back into productive use. They have a nicely designed building. They've been wonderful to work with. And I hope you support a positive recommendation on to the commissioner. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Harstead. Mr. Randy Cassidy, it's good to see you today. Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Randy Cassidy. I just wanted to say that the positive reintroduction of industry into a particular site of this size that we have continually set, because as majority of us in this room knows, there's been some environmental concerns about it over the years. Those have been cleaned to a point, and putting the land back in productive use is something that is very beneficial to our community. The thing I would like to incur and ask is because I am part of the redevelopment commission. I'm speaking part on one, part on the other as a citizen in that. There was some recommendations that were made through the redevelopment commission as far as some forward things by our president and some presentation things on the site, and near and dear to me, the usage of limestone on that. If they were taking those recommendations into account to move this forward as a project. The redevelopment and reuse as we put the road through and make this, it's a positive thing to do. It's just making sure that those recommendations that have been looked at will bring this site into an enhanced area. So I would recommend approval, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. I'd like to turn now to the public. Are there any other members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this petition or in opposition? If you're here in opposition to this petition, please come to the podium. Or if you're online and would like to speak in opposition to this petition, please make yourself known. Raise your virtual hand. Okay, I don't see anyone. I turn back to members of the Plan Commission for further discussion, and I'd like to start out with one question for Mr. Dave Schilling. I'd like to know, is there anything that we can ask U-Haul to do when they are about to develop this property to have them commit to remain in the county so that they are not voluntarily annexed into the city? There's nothing we can do? Okay, okay, thank you. With that being said, I turn back to other members of the Plan Commission for further questions and or a motion. Does anybody have any questions, discussion, motion?
Oh, he's got a
Yes,
question.
Mr. Enright Randolph.
It's just because I'm looking at the current zoning. This would be kind of the only general business zone kind of in that area, right? Looks like it's surrounded by PUDs and everything. So the planning doesn't have any concerns with the rezone and making this kind of the first couple of parcels to be general business.
Well, so this is very close to the jurisdiction of the city, and so
yeah.
there is essentially general business equivalent in the city jurisdiction. So it is proximate to the site.
Well, you use my own process against me. I love it. No, I'm always talking about what's adjacent to these zones. So thank you so much, Jackie. That's really it. I did kind of was listening to the gentleman speak, Dave, and I don't know if it's a need, but I know there's a lot of places where we limit what type of truck can drop things off. I'm really curious if it would be something U-Haul would even consider, or if it's even in demand in this county to have like some facility where like a semi truck can come and offload and then load it up into box trucks to kind of serve our community. I don't know if there's such a facility like that exists in this county, but there might not even be a demand. But you know, they were asking us what we could think of that could offer a service to the community, and I think something like that could be beneficial because we do have some ordinance that don't permit 18-wheelers to go up and, you know, offload their goods. So a facility like that could be promising. So I'm just kind of offering that up since you asked. So
I'd like to also make a statement that, you know, we've been going through a process of involuntary and unilateral annexation where the city of Bloomington has tried to annex areas outside of the city into the city. And your property is one of those properties. And if that court case succeeds, you know, and the residents prevail, then you would remain in the county, at which point, you know, it's possible that the city would ask you to voluntarily annex into the city. And I would just like to say, we'd like you to remain in the county, you know, if given a choice, if this is approved. With that being said, I think that Councilor Munson had a motion.
Yes, I've not offered a motion before, but I'm going to take a stab at this.
Thank you.
And we don't need to have Mr. Pittsford give all the motions tonight. Okay. In the matter of REZ-23-5, U-Haul rezone, and their request for waiver of a final hearing, I'm going to follow the staff's recommendation, and I move that the Plan Commission forward a positive recommendation to the county commissioners based on the compatibility of this project with the comprehensive plan.
there a second? Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Ferris has.
It's been moved and seconded to send a positive recommendation for REZ-23-5, the U-Haul rezone from IG, which is general industrial, to GB, which is general business. This includes a waiver of final hearing. A vote in favor is a vote to send a positive recommendation. Jerry Pittsford?
I want to explain just one small thing in my vote, and that is the input from the RDC was crucial to my decision in this matter. And the realization that while we may historically think of this as an employment zone in our county, that employment use in that particular area becomes more and more difficult to maintain in the shifting environment of both business and population. So with those things in mind, I am going to support this. Yes.
Julie Thomas?
Yes.
Margaret Clemens?
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph?
Yes.
Scott Ferris?
Yes.
Cheryl Munson?
Yes.
Dee Owens?
Yes.
Okay, motion is approved, 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Smith and Mr. Eastwood. Thank you for working with the county and our county planning department, and you are valued members of Monroe County, so thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we move on to item number 3, SPP-23-4, Spring Woods Major Subdivision Preliminary Plat, Preliminary Hearing. Subdivision Preliminary Plat Hearing. Waiver of final hearing requested concerning one parcel on 2.65 acres in section 24 of Richland Township at 4050 West Carmola Drive. And I believe that Mr. Brown will review this with us today.
Thank you, though. I'd like to make a correction on that slide. It should be 2.367 acres.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll call it 2.367. Thank you.
No problem. So this is to establish a 7-lot major subdivision on West Carmola Drive. The subdivision is being proposed for the creation of 6 single-family residential lots and 1 common area with no frontage on the road to be used for drainage. All proposed lots will meet their minimum requirements for subdividing land in their respective zoning district. A will serve letter for sewer has been obtained, and right-of-way permits have been applied for and are pending the approval of this subdivision. So the subdivision will create 7 lots out of 2.367 acres. The property is zoned medium-density residential and was recently rezoned to MR from Agriculture Rural Reserve back in 2021. That was approved by the County Commissioners on November 3rd, 2021. Extra right-of-way was dedicated to accommodate the sidewalk design, which otherwise would have extended out of the right-of-way. REZ had a condition. Actually, I don't believe that's the proper rezoned application. I apologize for that.
Okay.
But there was a condition of approval stating the petitioner was to submit a written commitment to dedicate temporary right-of-way to the county for the future Carmola Drive improvements. And this temporary right-of-way easements has been shown on the preliminary plat. Street trees are required for the subdivision and have been shown on the preliminary plat diagrams. However, information regarding their size and species has not been included. Including this information in the preliminary plat design has been made a condition of approval. Furthermore, a 5-foot wide sidewalk is also included in the proposal on the same side of the road as the subdivision. However, all major subdivisions require sidewalks to be installed on both sides of the road. Adding a sidewalk to the south side of Carmola Drive has been included in the conditions of approval as well. There is also a utility pole on the same side of West Carmola Drive as the proposed subdivision. However, this has been determined to be in the right-of-way, thus no overhead utility waiver is required, and the preliminary plat is proposing removal of this utility pole in coordination with Duke Energy, who is applying the electricity. And here is just a diagram showing the lot layouts and their designs, as well as who is providing sewer, water, electric, where property access will be gained, the total right-of-way dedication, environmental conditions, and any existing structures. And on the left is a location map of the area as well, and on the right is a map of the current zoning. And here is a site conditions map. As you can see, it is fairly flat, along with a comprehensive plan map. And here are 3 site photos showing from left to right a view of the property from the south side of West Carmola Drive. And here is the site plan. Current conditions, as well as marking trees to be removed. A rough layout of the property of the lot designs. A show of the elevation. Miscellaneous notes such as trench details for PVC and HDPE. Stormwater information. And so staff recommends approval based on the findings that the proposed preliminary plat meets the subdivision control ordinance with the following conditions. 1, a note must be added to the plat saying that all new utilities, including but not limited to gas, sewer, electric, power, telephone, and CATV, shall be located underground throughout the subdivision as per Chapter 856-41. 2, the preliminary plat must include additional information regarding the street trees, including their species and amount, and must achieve their 20% required biodiversity. In other words, no species count can account for more than 20% of the total. Sidewalks must be added to the south side of Carmola Drive per Chapter 856-40, which says sidewalks shall be included within the dedicated unpaved portions of the right-of-way on both sides of the streets when any of the following are applicable. And the applicable condition is number 6, a proposed subdivision will result in the creation of at least 5 lots where any of the lots in the proposed subdivision are less than 2.5 acres in size. And number 4, the petitioner is to provide an additional 5 feet of right-of-way for lots 1 through 3, so that the right-of-way on the north side of Carmola Drive will be consistent. Street trees will need to be relocated outside of the right-of-way with this change.
Okay, so thank you. I was a little bit spacey there. I wasn't sure if you were finished, but I'd like to turn to my fellow members of the Plan Commission to see if you have questions for staff. Mr. Enright Randolph.
And this is actually towards Kelsey Fatonia. When this came to the Drainage Board, and I was trying to grab the minutes so I could refer to them, we were talking about the bioretention to the east and making sure that wouldn't potentially be higher than this retention area that we're talking about north of the site. And have we checked that? And also, this is supposed to kind of feed other bioretention ponds kind of moving down, and we were going to do kind of a window survey of those other bioretention areas. I know that this is outside of the petition, but these were things we were leaving upon the MS4 coordinator, Kelsey Fatonia, to address after our Drainage Board meeting. So I was just kind of curious what the findings were.
Hi, this is Kelsey. Hi, Tron. No, we haven't been out to inspect that eastern pond yet, but it is on our list. At this point, when the snow melts, we will get out there. But that is a great point that we do have multiple detention ponds throughout the surrounding subdivisions, some upstream from this development and some downstream. All of them are in varying conditions. We've inspected all of them previously, and we'll be following up with the property owners on those ponds. The one to the east, we just need additional information, so we will get to that inspection soon.
And then I guess to that, does these conditions look adequate to meet any potential need that could come of those inspections?
Could you say that again, please?
I will say that this site is going above and beyond to address more stormwater runoff from the surrounding neighborhood than is actually asked. So I want to make sure I point that out as well.
Thank you, Mr. Enright Randolph. Are there any other questions for staff? Ms. Counselor Munson?
Thank you. I'm looking at the drainage map on page 140 of the packet. And my question doesn't concern drainage. I can see that there are 6 outlines for structures in the lots and a common area to their north. I do not see driveways or garages. Are these planned? And if not, where is parking to occur?
It is assumed at this point that those are only rough areas of where the proposed lot buildings will be. Possibly just to give a reference. It is assumed that the driveway locations will be decided on at a later date.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this is a good entree to ask the petitioner, the petitioner's representative, to please come to the podium, and you'll have 15 minutes. It's good to see you, Katie.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
I did want to add, one correction, Katie, before you get started. You can stay up there. It won't take me very long. I just want to note that on page 121, staff did include kind of an error in the packet regarding that the petitioner, Mr. Blackwell, was involved in the Glen Meadows subdivision, which is directly to the north. Though we still have an issue with that area not being in the county inventory, it is my understanding, based on an email from their attorney, that Mr. Blackwell does not have any ownership or anything to do with that area, as it is existing. It is another developer. So I just want to make that correction.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, good evening. Katie Stein, Smith Design Group, and I am the engineer for Blackwell Contractors. I also have Scott Purdue here. He is a surveyor as well, so we both have worked on this project. First of all, thank you, Daniel, for your presentation. Tron, you are correct in stating we are detaining more than what is required on this site, as was discussed during drainage board. And Ms. Munson, to clarify your point, those house outlines were just preliminary, just to see what we can fit on that site. These will all have to come forward once building permits are ready for full site plan approval with driveways and full further design from that point. So I would just like to say the 4 conditions of approval on here on behalf of Blackwell Contractors, no issues with any of those. At this point, I don't have anything to add to Daniel's presentation. I'm available here for technical questions, same as Scott. And also Greg Lauer is here also for any questions or clarifications to Jackie's correction that she made earlier. So thank you for bringing that up, Jackie. And we are here to answer any questions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Are you also going to speak, sir? No? Okay, so does anybody from the Plan Commission have questions for Smith Design Group? I don't see any questions. Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Owens?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, then we'll turn it open to the public. Are there members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please come to the podium, raise your virtual hand, or make yourself known in some other way. Thanks for coming tonight. And could you just give us your name? Did you already sign in?
I apologize. I thought you guys talked about this at the beginning because I heard something about Carmola.
Oh, that's okay.
So I didn't think I'd be
have 2 Carmola.
Yeah, that's right.
Very unusual.
Very unusual. That's not a common name.
Oh.
Yes.
All right, so yeah, overall I'm in favor of this just because I support more housing and especially because of the shortage of housing and the housing crisis across the U.S. that's happening right now. So, but I just have like a few concerns, of course. I would just like, I doubt there's anything you guys could do about this, but I just like to ask for the Blackwell contractors to try to keep as many of the trees in the area as possible. I know it's not realistic to keep all of them, but there's a lot of very old trees in that area that have been growing for a long time and support a lot of species of birds, for instance, that the residents in the area enjoy. And of course, a lot of them would probably disappear if these trees were all cut down. So also, yeah, I also appreciate that the trees can be a monoculture as well for the street trees that you were talking about. And I just hope that there are no Bradford pear trees that are planted in the area because a lot of the existing trees in the neighborhood are the invasive Bradford pear, and that's a real concern of mine, of course, because they're growing everywhere. And I imagine that maybe that kind of rule for not more than 20% to be one monoculture might be the reason for that. So that doesn't happen in the future. Also, I appreciate that there's going to be a sidewalk, and from my interpretation, it was both in the north and the south side because Carmola Drive has desperately needed those for a while because it is a 30-mile-per-hour road and people are walking on it, including me, all the time to try to just stroll around the neighborhood. So I really appreciate that that's being put in place. And I also don't quite... I doubt anything can be done about this here, but I don't quite understand why it needs to be a 30-mile-per-hour road because it's not really a congested road. It's just a normal residential street, and 30 miles per hour is a pretty high speed that can kill just about anyone if they were struck at that speed. So if it could be reduced to like 20 or something, that would be great. Also, one last thing is that the Smith Pike, which Carmola... This is kind of unrelated to this, I think, but a little bit related about how there's been a lot of recent development in the area. And I think that it's important to provide a connection than other just car modes of transportation because Smith Pike has absolutely nothing. It doesn't even have a shoulder for people to walk or bike on. It's a very narrow road with no sidewalks at all. And it's actually the only connection that's preventing me from visiting my parents on my e-bike when I want to go from campus to my parents' house. So if there could at some point be in the future like a multi-use path just along one side of the road, that would be great. Because, yeah, for safety, because I do see people, I never biked on there, but I do see people biking on there occasionally that I have to be careful to pass. But yeah, thank you.
And could you tell us your name, sir?
Colin Nielsen.
Colin Hilson?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hilson.
Thank you.
Okay, are there other members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Are there members of the public who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Please come to the podium and state your name, and you'll each have 3 minutes.
I'm Jamie Locke. Before you start my time,
yes,
on the form that you guys have issued, you've got all of our homes incorrect. The Kesslers on the first one, the Locks on the second one, Boyd's on the next one, and I'm unaware of the next two because the three of us are all here, so I wanted that to be corrected to start with.
Thank you for letting us know.
There is some concern about who owns what. Kenny Blackwell's name is always established to Glen Meadow. If you ask Kenny Blackwell, he says he does not own it. You ask Don Grubb, he says he sold it to Kenny Blackwell. Kenny Blackwell points to Don Grubb. It kind of goes back and forth, and we are the people who suffer because of that. Currently, not that anybody cares, but this is what our roads, this is what our roads look like. Because Kenny Blackwell and Don Grubb argue over who owns it, nobody will release the bond on it. And so this is a dusting of snow. As you know, we haven't really needed a shovel yet, but that's what all of us are dealing with because you won't release the bond. Since Kenny Blackwell, whether he owns it or he doesn't own it, he does hold the last lot in our neighborhood. And my understanding is that until he completes that, he does not have to put street trees up. He does not have to finish the sidewalk. He does not have to release the bond. We do not get snow plowing, and we all pay taxes, and we would really like to not be out shoveling the road, which our husbands have been doing in order for us to come and go. Glen Meadow, like I said, I know that this is all about Spring Woods, but because of what's going on, I'm not sure why we keep allowing Kenny Blackwell to start another project when he doesn't finish the ones he's in. He has not finished the one lot so that all of this can be taken care of, because it's my understanding that our neighborhood needs repavement, it needs curb work, that there's no street trees, the sidewalks, they're not ADA accessible. We are concerned because none of us are geologists and archaeologists and architects. We have no idea when we look at this, what is this doing? Because again, my other picture is it's a very thin line of trees, which is what it looks like right now. But in the summer, it looks like that, out of my backyard and all of theirs. It's a nice buffer between us and these 6 houses that are gonna go behind us. When we all bought that property, it was a nice country farmhouse that we all agree was slightly dilapidated, but now it's gone. And we're concerned that he's going to rip all these trees out and there's gonna be erosion. There's vegetation, as the other gentleman talked about, there's habitat. My neighbors love to watch the birds. We have deer, it's a beautiful little neighborhood. And now I'm envisioning just a big empty mosquito pit retention pond behind my house. And that's not what any of us bought into. We're also not clear on how you have 5 houses on our side of the street and we are literally on top of each other, but you're gonna put 6 behind us and we don't even see where the driveways are gonna be. So again, we would like our neighborhood to stay cohesive and for all of our houses to kind of look alike. I think Java looks like us. We look like, River Bend, all the houses kind of look alike. We all have $300,000 to $400,000 homes in there. So is he gonna put nice big tall houses that don't have any place in Glen Meadow or whatever he's naming this edition?
Thank you so much. Thank you for testifying and for coming in on this cold night. Now, if you kindly would come to the podium and give us your name, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Kathy Kessler, and I live next to the locks, and my property backs up to this new subdivision that Blackwell wants to put in. And he's already started clearing trees back there, he said, for the surveyor, so that the surveyor can get back there. But he's already removing these trees. And I'm curious, the 7th lot, which seems to be the detention or the drainage easement, who will be maintaining that easement once all these lots are filled? Is it gonna grow up and just be brush, or will trees go in where he's taken out all these other trees?
That's a good question, but finish your testimony and we'll ask staff.
Okay, what Jackie was talking about earlier, where she had a call from Blackwell's, I guess, attorneys, saying that he's not responsible for Glen Meadows. And like Jamie Locke said, he holds the remaining lot in our subdivision and it's not even up for sale. So we've been on hold. And also I wanted to address, you guys talked earlier about Carmola, and since this subdivision is on Carmola and that culvert that was put in, it is already cracking. We see that. It's a very narrow road and it's not a safe road. So for him to put these lots in with these sidewalks on both sides of the street, I don't see how that can be done without encroaching on all the lots on the south side, because wasn't it said that sidewalks needed to go in there?
Yes.
And then also on the other side.
Yes.
So those are my concerns.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing those
You're
with
welcome.
us. And we'll ask staff, can you answer that question? Would a homeowners association be responsible for maintaining the easement of the detention pond if one were to be formed once the last lot is sold, or what?
Yes, so this is technically a major subdivision.
Yes.
So we would be asking the developer to either complete all of the improvements on the preliminary plat, which includes full detention, installment to the county specifications, or they would post a financial guarantee and complete the work after the lots have been platted. If they do complete the work to the county specifications, before the lots are platted, then we would release the lots for platting. If they choose to post a financial guarantee and then they do the retention or detention, we would hold those funds until we were able to inspect, get as-built of the site, and then release those funds. The HOA would be created at the time of that, when the financial guarantee is returned and they ask for acceptance into the county inventory, the improvements that have been made. So then it would become those 6 homeowners' responsibility.
So that's the answer, is that the homeowners association, and there is a lot of homeowner
So there is
association.
gonna, because there's not an HOA in our subdivision, so for these 6 homes, there will be an HOA?
There will probably be one in yours once that last lot is sold, and and the funds are released. It meets county standards, and whatever funds are held by the county then are released back to the builder, and then the homeowners association becomes responsible for the maintenance of common areas like the detention ponds, and not the road though.
Yeah.
That's in the county inventory.
They would be asking to be into the county inventory. And I do have a section in the packet on page 121 that I could go over regarding the issue of the Glen Meadows subdivision. Since it is proximate, we did bring it up.
Yes, who enforces this? Because our subdivision was started 18 years ago, and you've seen how small our subdivision is. So who is responsible? From what I've heard, is the bond that they are holding, it's going to cost more to finish for, we believe, Don Grubb, to finish making the changes he needs to make to turn it over to the city than what he's going to get back. So what incentive does he have?
We're
to do
facing
this?
that, and so recently our director of planning, Jackie, has made a change in our rules so that the amount that we hold in a bond, not in a bond, but the amount we hold.
It's a text amendment. It hasn't gone through yet, but
Yeah.
we're hoping to include a 10% renewal rate for every year that they wish to keep the money with the county. In this case, though, in 2014, the developer walked away. And so we've been holding that as a line item in our budget. And we do acknowledge that that amount is not enough for the improvements that are remaining. I've highlighted the roads that have remaining improvements, and we're stating there's lack of street trees, missing sidewalk, missing ADA ramps, asphalt that needs replacement, stormwater infrastructure requiring as-built, and possibly more. So we acknowledge that there are deficiencies that well exceed the $67,000. And so at some point, if we were hoping that, if there was some connection or ability to get a hold of the developer in regards to this proximate subdivision, but it seems that there's not a related developer in this
So
case.
what do we do?
So I think that the next step is we're trying to get a text amendment that would allow for the inflation, and I think that will help moving forward. We do work with our legal department to send letters to developers, and we will be doing that in this case and seeing if we can have them finish out the subdivision improvements.
Okay. Is there anyone that we can contact, say if another 3, 4, 5 years go by and we're still not getting our streets cleared, or, if there's ice on the streets, we don't get them treated?
Yeah, that would.
Is there anyone that we can contact?
Jackie,
I think our department, yes.
Jackie,
Okay.
and we have really an exceptional planning department in the county. We're not in the city. We're in the
Right.
county. And our legal staff, too, has been very concerned about this issue, and they're working proactively. And even though what they've done recently does not exactly solve your problem, they are attentive to it.
Okay.
And they're working to find some other solution all the time.
Okay.
These good people are working to help find
Yeah.
solutions. So that's,
Thank you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
And I'd like to thank everybody for indulging me because those were exceptional questions.
Mm-hmm.
And normally we don't allow, the interaction between staff and somebody who appears, but you asked questions that we should have asked, but you were
Mm-hmm.
representing our interests by asking them. So thank you. And sir, your name?
My name is Verlin Reed. Most people call me JR.
Oh, thank you,
I live
JR.
at 4120 West Carmola Drive. My main concern is I have a lot of trees between this property to be developed and my house, and they're all leaning towards my house. So I would really like to see these trees removed. I love trees, have nothing against trees, but they're going to damage my house before it's over with.
Uh-huh.
Maybe kill us.
Oh, no.
But other than that, that's all.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Reed. Yes.
Hi, my name is Rick Locke, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but I'm going to tell you what I think. First of all, what I heard was nothing's going to be done. It's been 18 years. Don Grubb is in his 80s. He's not racing over there to fix our streets. We are not against or anti-housing. We agree we need some housing there, but we're talking about smart housing. You get to plan this. We live with the aftermath. Don and Blackwell, whatever agreement they had for this neighborhood has gone to crap because this is a beautiful neighborhood. This is where we want kids going to school. We have people retiring here. You're talking about a plan. We're talking about homes. We're talking about where people live and stuff gets pushed off to the side. We've been there 5 years. Any day now on Carmola, any day. Sidewalks, it was built wrong. That's why there's additional asphalt. Any day now. That's what we hear. Again, we're looking at it. We're concerned. We're thinking about it. Meanwhile, we look at this lot and we aren't against housing. We're against jobs not getting finished. We have a house that was built in our neighborhood 2 years ago. The rebar and the concrete is still sitting in that empty lot of Blackwell's. Jobs don't get done. Jobs don't get finished. He leaves the dirty work site. Not against, I don't care what the name is. Any construction company that comes out there and does that to where I live, I got a problem with it. You can name something whatever you want. You look at this plot of land, Spring Woods, what a joke. We're burying all the trees. Call it Pavement City. At least call it what it is. It's a big retention pond that no one's gonna take after. All the retention ponds in ours, now the local people, everybody who lives in that neighborhood gets together and mows them. We've got this beautiful set of trees that sets us apart, and the fact of the matter is, they're gonna get buried. They're gonna jam 6 houses in there, don't care. Fact of the matter is, we have trees, we have a beautiful neighborhood, and it's gonna turn into just a bunch of just box houses, and I guarantee you, they're all gonna look alike. Just build an apartment complex. Who knows? But if you look at this and you say, yep, we're going to build another retention pond. Yep, we're going to bury all these trees. Yep, because the quote was, the lot is mostly flat. That's true. But at the back end, it drops off. If you say you're going to plant some trees, they can walk in there and plant 3-foot trees. That's great. But at the line of sight, it will take a 15-foot tree or 20-foot tree, which is what we have there now, to keep that barrier. I'm just asking you, when you look at this, I don't care that there's development. I know we need housing, but the fact of the matter is, look at this as homes, not just a plan on a sheet.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for coming tonight. Yes, please come up to the podium and you're welcome to, have you signed in already? Okay, and please give us your name.
Hi, Teresa Boyd.
Hi.
And I'm one of the back part of the area that you're talking about. I don't know too much about the planning and all the ins and outs, and I agree with my neighbors there were very, very concerned because of the what's going to be happening behind us there. And I gather that that's going to be a retention pond. And I see what has happened to other retention ponds, in our neighborhood there. And I'm wondering, well, is it going to be built, and it's going to have a runoff, to be, where is it going to go? Where is it going to be? Is it going to be so deep? How is that going to affect my property? Is that going to create a problem in the future that it ends up, damaging part of my property into that? Because it looks like it'd have to be very deep to handle that flat plot that you're talking about and to hold that water. Well, where is that going to go? And what is it going to be? Who's going to take care of it? What I've seen is that the neighbors, have to take care of their own retention pond. And I'm not signing up to take care of doing that. How deep and steep is it going to be? What's going to happen to it? And how it's going to affect everyone, And I do understand about the trees, that are close and may fall, on that. But there's so many different ones that are there. They've already, knocked down so many of them that were just younger trees, and that would be a buffer for the people who are buying those houses and for us. And now, we're going to have that big retention pond. So I am very concerned about that. I think basically they've covered most of everything else, so.
Well, thank you for coming out on this cold night. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Okay. Well, then the petitioner, Katie, you're welcome to come back, and you have a 5-minute rebuttal time period.
So I will just add a few comments. A lot of the comments and concerns are neighborhoods that I don't know the situation. I don't know any of that. I definitely cannot speak on any of that. Really, I guess the tree more concern on that the trees that are able to remain in place will stay in place. It's not, it's expensive to remove trees. It's not, they're going to be taken down just because, or that sort of thing. One thing that we could potentially do is we've got that common area lot that is a detention pond. We have to do a detention pond per county requirements on there. Not only is that pond serving this neighborhood, it is also taking upstream flow that is off-site onto here and holding that and treating it more so than it's releasing less than what is there currently. But we could potentially move the grading of the detention pond further south by about 10 feet and keep the buffer between these two neighbors, or excuse me, these two neighborhoods. So the lots that are to the north and then where this common detention pond is, if we move that down 10 feet and to keep those trees in there, I know that is something that this builder, Blackwell Contractors, is willing to do from that perspective. This all got reviewed and everything through Drainage Board, through Monroe County MS4, from a drainage perspective and everything like that. So I will keep it at that. If Plan Commission members obviously have other questions, concerns, we can certainly answer that as best we can.
Okay,
so, okay.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Katie, can I ask just a specifying question?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you would be able to move the bioretention, so would it be fair to state that you'd be maintaining the tree line along the northern border of the subdivision then, all the way across?
I would say 10 feet all the way across. I don't know exactly where that is. So it would move that it would move the common lot down south 10 feet. So that common lot now is 80 feet wide. It will be 90 feet wide, but that will move the grading down 10 feet from where it is right now. We don't go all the way to the property line, I believe, on that detention pond. So it will provide a buffer area in there between these two neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you.
Is that okay? Okay.
Okay, so I turn back now to members of the Plan Commission. I'd like to ask Jackie a follow-up question to her offer to go over page 121 with us. And then Commissioner
Julie
Thomas.
has her hand up.
Yeah, we'll go to Julie after we hear this 121 explanation by Jackie, and then we'll hear from Commissioner Thomas.
So we have been in communication with a few of the neighbors, and we work closely with the highway department, and we know that we've received phone call complaints regarding anytime it snows, that there's no county trucks out there to plow the roads, and we've described that because this area has not been taken into the county inventory for reasons that it still lacks the required improvements to be taken in. It's still an issue and it's still private development. So I've included in the packet on page 121 highlighted areas of the streets that are currently private. So this includes West Geranium Lane, North Petunia Lane, North Dahlia Lane, North Begonia Court, and part of North Mocha Drive. And as you can see, this surrounds the Springwood subdivision on the west, north, and east sides, which is why we were bringing it to your attention. So we do have a fund line in the amount of $67,083.50, which we were required to cash in when the developer did not renew their letter of credit and it would have otherwise expired. So this is the developer of the subdivision, which we understand to still be Don Grubb, has not completed the required improvements, including sidewalks, ADA ramps, street trees, stormwater infrastructure, etc. And because we did not have or do not have a text amendment in place right now that requires adjustment due to inflation, that amount is not enough to finish the improvements. So what we've discussed in this section is just that basically we're wanting to get this issue resolved. This is not, we understand that this is an interest in getting this into the county inventory, but this is not a county created issue. It is the developer not finishing out their subdivision. We're looking for ways to better track these improvements as they go in. Not only are we facing issues of them not putting in these required improvements, but that these improvements are put in incorrectly, including not meeting ADA standards. So we're faced with quite a few issues across the county, and we're just figuring out the best ways to spread out our resources. Not all of us are certified engineers or surveyors. We cannot always tell exactly when there are issues right away. Understanding this has been an issue for a very long time, we do want to get this issue resolved. And like I said, we do not have enough funds in the county line for us to just bid this project out and get it done without talking to the developer. And obviously with them walking away, it infers that we will be in some sort of, and it will be communicating via our legal department. So we will be following up with Mr. Grubb on this issue, but I just wanted to point this out as we look at the next subdivision to be completed. And we're hoping to continue to make improvements with our follow-up on developers getting the projects done to the specifications that they provide us with and that we approve. But ultimately it is up to the developer. It's their responsibility to finish these subdivisions and do it correctly.
Well, thank you, Director Nestor Jellin. You've already spearheaded some good improvements in this regard, and I also like it that you're trying to address these neighbors' concerns, and we appreciate everything that you're trying to do to resolve this. With that being said, well, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Thomas and then Mr. Pittsford. Yes, okay, thank you, Mr. Pittsford. Thanks. Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to ask Mr. Brown, if there had been any effort to include a survey of the existing trees with a note of which ones had to be removed. I see notes on some removal, but there are a lot more trees, and I don't know which ones have already been removed and which ones they intend to keep. I think that would be helpful to have. And the other concern I have, and I'm so grateful for these residents for stepping up and coming out on a cold night and expressing their concerns. I really hope we can try to come up with a better solution or some solution, some way to address this. And I don't feel comfortable. I feel like this needs another hearing. So if somebody makes a motion to waive the final hearing, I'm going to vote no, because I feel like we need to do some more work for this neighborhood. I'd hate to add to the problems without addressing the ones that are currently there. And I know we need housing and we can do it, but I feel like we need to go back a little bit and address some of these things to ensure that these neighbors are happy, or at least closer to happy than they are now. And I appreciate Smith Design offering to make some adjustments. I think we need to see that at a final hearing. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Mr. Pittsford?
Thank you, Madam President. Normally, I like to move toward a question for staff instead of just weighing in on things, but I could only come up with a suggestion. And I think in the future, when we look at petitions of this nature and we look at connectivity, I think part of the report can include the state of the roads that we would connect to. So to simply state that there is connectivity, I think now becomes insufficient. This is one example. This example has existed for 15 years or more, where that subdivision and the one adjacent to it went on and on and on with this. We see the bond become insufficient and worthless. And we've talked about this before you were here. You know, David Schilling can tell you, we've gone over this and over this and over this, trying to protect this. But I think when we talk about site conditions and we talk about connectivity, this should always be part of the conversation where we have derelict development, that roads have not been completed and have not been put into the county inventory appropriately. And that way we keep this pressure up all the time. I am not inclined to approve any kind of further subdivision here, regardless of who the developer is, when the connectivity goes into a substandard road that's not part of the county inventory. To continue to put a burden on that road, forget about the neighbors, although I love y'all. And I'm not running for election. I care about y'all, nor do I think I ever will. But my point is, it's irresponsible to continue development that would allow connectivity to a road that's not built to and is not soon going to be made compliant to county standards and Americans with Disability Act standards. We can't do anything about Smith Pike just yet. So, you know, that's a whole horse of a different color. But right here we can. And I think this board has an opportunity to make a stand and say, we don't care if it's your development adjacent that's not finished or not. You're not starting on yours until that one's finished.
I agree with Mr. Pittsford. I've been putting pressure on also on the builders that and the builder community that they need to be looking out for the standards of the others. When they go to the Builders Association and they say, my project is denied, well, they can say, not only am I going to have to pay more, but my project is denied because you did not finish your job. And if that, I think that it is incumbent upon all of the builders to hold the other ones accountable, because we can't just leave the residents hanging there. And that brings me to one other question. I look at that detention pond. That's a big detention pond, and you're going to have 6 or 7 people maintain that. And how old are they going to be? How old are these residents going to be? To me, it just doesn't make sense that this looks like something that's going to fail. And it's not, and no matter, they aren't qualified to maintain that. You know, I don't know the cost of maintaining that. I don't know what's involved in it, but I would guarantee you that most of the residents who are out there plowing their street right now don't know either. And I think it's beyond our capacity to maintain that. But that's my statement. And I also don't believe that I would support the waiver of preliminary hearing, which means we won't be taking a vote tonight unless there's an overwhelming motion to waive the preliminary hearing and approve this. So, yes, Mr. Ferris.
So what legal action is pending for developer Grubb?
None at this time.
Is there anything planned?
Not to my knowledge.
We had sent a letter regarding another project to this same person, I thought, in December.
I sent a letter to Dan Moore of Emerald Trace.
I see,
And
okay.
it was directed by the Plan Commission, so
I
if
see.
you all would.
Okay, I just didn't remember correctly.
So as a follow-up, what is the next step in dealing with Mr. Grubb?
Well, we can send a letter similar to like we did with Mr. Moore, outlining the deficiencies of the current subdivision in Glen Meadows and what needs to be completed, and then the amount that the county has on file with a timeline for response.
Can you take that for action?
I think we can go ahead and do
Yes.
that. I don't know that we need action.
Yeah,
but I
that'd
can
be
do that.
great.
By
That
the
would-
next Plan Commission meeting, we'll get a letter out.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so with that being said, Mr. Enright Randolph.
Yes, and I will say that the discussion of maintenance of that bioretention was drilled into at the Drainage Board. It was a big concern of mine with how many different HOAs were already dealing with different bioretentions, and they're all interconnected. So what would be exciting is somehow we come up with a maintenance plan, not just for the one that's being proposed on here, but all of the other ones that, you know, are interrelated to this, I guess, check dam release, or however you want to describe it. But yeah, it was really difficult when I was like, well, who's in charge of this bioretention pond in a different subdivision? You know, they kind of were like, well, the HOA. And I know we've had this conversation numerous times. I think we're trying to do our best effort of dealing with HOAs, but again, we don't really have too much of a say there, so it's unfortunate. And with our stormwater ordinance and our drainage ordinance, we're going to have a lot of bioretention, and someone's going to be responsible for the maintenance. That's all I'm going to say is, you know, we really drilled into this, and it is a big concern because I have seen HOAs fail, and, you know, it'd be nice to figure out a method where we can deal with this more appropriate. And then I guess I don't want to ask each person to come and speak again. Well, before I move there, this site is actually creating more retention due to the circumstances that are ongoing in those existing subdivisions. So they could help mitigate and relieve some of the issues that you do experience. So that's good. You know, that's what they're offering. So that shouldn't go without, you know, bringing it up, and should definitely be noticed that they're wanting to try to improve that area. I love kind of the ability to have a little of a discussion here and potentially preserve more trees. I mean, those are also considered a green infrastructure for stormwater mitigation. So I think that's Awesome. Now to my other questions is because we had a lot of people speak, but we were kind of going back and forth to a certain extent. And I could see that like a lot of the issues was the fact that the county won't accept the dedication to existing subdivision to remove this snow. Completely understand that. But again, that's kind of outside of what we're looking at. I think Jerry brought up a great point, and we should have more discussions saying that we're connecting to inadequate infrastructure. Again, that's really hard to deal with, and try to be fair with petitioners as they are proposing new plans or developments. Also, I was really wondering, what about those existing needs of stormwater? Like, if there's issues, this could be a step in the right direction. So, we shouldn't discount that either. But driveway cuts, that was brought up a couple of times. Obviously, this is going to be moving to a next hearing. So if maybe we can get highway benners to weigh in where those driveway cuts are going to be, that would be nice. My question to the public, and maybe just shoot us an email, is it really the building of these houses, or is it all the other issues that were brought up? Because I've heard numerous times people are pro housing, and but at the same time they were remonstrating against this petition. So I'm wondering, is it the fact that they can't dedicate their roads and they can't get the snow removed? Is it the question that there aren't driveway cuts? And then the HOA, I really wish we had a better solution to that. Maybe this could, get us to have a larger discussion of all of the areas that are impacted. From my understanding, there's 3 developments there, and 2 of them you can't really identify any HOA. And the bioretention that's to the east, I think, is part of the property owner, so it's kind of their responsibility. So like this, what we're proposing, hopefully would work better than what you have seen. So yeah, there's a lot of questions there, and I think we could try to figure out a solution. And again, my main point to the public that spoke is it the houses you're against or all the issues that you brought up? And maybe just shoot an email so we don't have to rehash it.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enright Randolph. And Ms. Owens has her hand raised.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to table this. It sounds to me like there are way too many issues to be going forward with this particular piece, and that we need to learn exactly what it is that we can do to get the neighborhood in order before we go anything else. I'd say also to Tron's question about how do you say that you're for more housing, but you remonstrate against it, I think the fairly simple answer is when it impedes upon my property, then I have an issue and I want to get it, I want to understand what's going on, and I want it dealt with. I think that's perfectly okay. So I'd make a motion that we table this until some action is recommended to help people in the neighborhood now get things completed.
I'll second that.
Dee, did you want to specify the date, or did you want to leave it open? Or we could have it on the agenda for February 20th. And if it's not addressed,
I would like to leave it open, because I'm not sure that this could be figured out with everything else you all got to do in the next month. I think it needs to remain open until such time as there's something for us to talk about and not have to drag people back in again.
I agree with Ms. Owens that it should remain open until we figure out the issue on that Mr. Pittsford raised about this subdivision emptying out into unsatisfactory roads, and also this large detention pond, the responsibility of 6 or 7 homeowners. To me, that seems to be a pretty unacceptable plan. And also, I'd like to make a formal request that if people are going to be speaking about housing shortage, that they speak with facts and not just emotion. I'm not convinced of the housing shortage because we've been doing so much hyper building around here. And we've got apartment here, apartment there. People have been saying we're planning for apartments because everybody wants to live in apartments. Well, let's just see how that goes, you know? Let's see how many units are vacant. Let's see, is there really a housing shortage in our community because our population is decreased and student enrollment is decreased as well. So let's talk facts when we're talking about housing shortages, please. Pardon?
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to continue this. Would it be amenable if I went over some of the actions that the Plan Commission would like to see addressed before this gets back on the agenda first?
Yes.
Okay, so I have a letter sent to the developer, Don Grubb, regarding Glen Meadows subdivision deficiencies. I have a proposal of moving the bioretention south 10 feet to allow for tree preservation along the northern line. And then would you like to add draft HOA document review for the bioretention?
I mean, are we really saying that these 7 homes are going to be responsible for the retention and 6 homes for all of the detention and retention for the surrounding neighborhoods that this detention pond is serving? I don't even know what this, you know, this is not making sense to me.
Actually, yeah, if I could jump in, that is not my motion. My motion is not to talk about this particular piece of property. My motion is to table this indefinitely until such time as we figure out what the previous work that hasn't been done, there's a remedy to that, because it is without a whole lot more leverage, I guess is the word, that we could use. I don't see why we would continue to say okay to something like this without fixing the prior problem. So my motion is to table this indefinitely until we figure out what the existing neighborhood problems are and what the developer is willing to do to fix them.
I second that.
I was going to ask for a procedural rule from our legal staff if we're allowed to table something indefinitely.
I don't believe in this case that you are. This is a subdivision application. If the application meets the requirements in the zoning ordinance, then it is entitled to approval.
Okay, so we just move on, I guess, then, Ms. Owens, to the February meeting.
Then let's change it to, we will table it until next month and see what work can be done in the meantime.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to continue this to the February 20th, 2024 meeting.
I hate to interrupt, point of order. We do have a motion and a second on the floor, and the motion was determined to be procedurally inadmissible. So can we have a determination on that from our president that you agree? I mean, are we in agreement?
Our legal department said that we had to hear it.
So then we need to vacate that motion.
We do need to vacate that.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I would like to advise people to call your state representative that doesn't allow you to have more say in the determination of your own community and your own property, that they would put in a rule that would say to us that we here, sitting here as your plan commission, and you as residents don't have more say over the determination of your own property. And so, you know, I just am kind of upset about that, learning that. So with that being said, we're forced to hear it in February. And so we'll hear it in February. But if you would kindly, Jackie, give everybody the information that they need in order to make a presence.
Okay, I'll go ahead and, if it's okay, then I think there's been a second motion to continue it to February 20th, 2024. I can call the roll on that. and then I will explain
Okay.
the information. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to continue SPP 23-4, which is Springwood's major subdivision preliminary plat, preliminary hearing, to the next plan commission meeting, which would be February 20th, 2024, which would be the final hearing for this. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the continuance to February 20th, 2024. Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Scott Ferris. Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Dee Owens.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Julie Thomas.
Yes.
Margaret Clements.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that motion has been approved 7-0. And so what this means is that this item will be under old business on the next month's agenda. So it should be earlier on the agenda, hopefully first, I think, at this point. And so at this point, we will be able to hear your testimony again if you would like to come up and speak. We're hoping to address the items that I discussed, although not part of the motion. I think that staff has a clear understanding from the Plan Commission of what could be addressed before the February 20th meeting. You're welcome to contact myself or Daniel Brown, who's helping with the case. I can give you our business cards with our emails and phone numbers, and if you would like to meet with us before the next Plan Commission meeting, we'd be happy to do so. This subdivision, as our legal attorney did mention, was rezoned and is considered a by right subdivision. So what the Plan Commission is able to look at and review in terms of approving or denying the subdivision is a little bit limited in that scope, but we want to work with you on getting the other improvements in the surrounding neighborhoods fixed. So
Thank you very much for coming out tonight. Okay, thank you. Okay, well, we're moving on. We have 3 items left on the agenda. The next item is PUO-23-7, the trails at Robertson Farm PUD outline. This is the preliminary hearing concerning 142.97 plus or minus parcel in Perry Township, Section 20 at 4691 South Victor Pike. And I believe Mr. Brown will be going over this with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So the request is to establish a planned unit development at this address. The petitioner is requesting this planned unit development to be established in order to develop a large series of residential structures. Should this petition be approved, the petitioner would be creating 145 residential lots that contain a variety of uses such as single-family residences, single-family pair homes, triplexes / townhomes that will be situated on their own lot with a shared wall, and a multifamily dwelling unit. And this will all be on the same property. The development includes 2 ingress-egress points along South Victor Pike, 1 connection to Clear Creek Trail, and 1 connection to the Bloomington Rail Trail. Approval of this outline plan amendment will amend the zoning map and allow for single and multifamily residential development. I would like to add that this is a preliminary hearing and a waiver of final hearing has not been requested. As such, this presentation must be heard again during the Plan Commission regular session on February 20th, 2024. There were 2 previous petitions for this property. One was a rezone attempt to planned unit development, 2012-PUO-6, which was withdrawn. And then REZ 21-1, where the petition attempted to have the property rezoned from estate residential 1 to medium density residential in order to then subdivide it into a similar residential layouts to this petition. REZ-21-1 was denied by the county commissioners on September 19th, 2021 by a vote of 3-0. The petition includes the following differences from the earlier 2012 PUO-6. 1, the addition of a single new multifamily dwelling unit. 2, the replacement of proposed quadplexes in townhomes with proposed triplexes in townhomes. 3, the estimated size of some proposed housing has changed, such as in Zone C in 2012 PUO-6, had an estimated housing size between 1,500 and 2,500 square feet, while Zone C in PUO-23-7 has an estimated housing size between 1,500 and 3,500 square feet. 4, the layout of some proposed streets and walkways has changed slightly. 5, the minimum lot sizes of some areas has changed. And I'll give a second for that to be read. 6, PUO 23-7 includes standards for parking details and neighborhood signage. 7, 2012 PUO-6 contained a note about a proposed connection to nearby trails giving access to a nearby school. This access to Clear Creek Elementary, White Oak will also build a safe and easy access path that will allow children and families to access the rail trail and Clear Creek Trail, thus allowing access to Clear Creek Elementary. This same note is absent in PUO-23-7. 8, PUO-23-7 gives an additional standard for landscaping. Quote, when developing parks and open space, the design will take into consideration the existing landscaping and leverage it while making the space more usable. And 9, under the section Environmental Considerations, PUO-23-7 adds a standard regarding drainage and watershed management. Quote, drainage development plan will reduce the runoff and outflow rates by more than 80% and bring the 44 plus acres into compliance with the new critical watershed regulations, unquote. And here is a brief side-by-side map comparing PUO-23-7 and REZ-21-1, which are on the left and the right respectively. And here is an image of the site map. And here is the phase map. It will be completed in multiple phases. Here's an area map. This is less of a plan of order of construction and more a breakdown of what will be available in what zone, as described in the petitioner's letter to the Planning Commission. And here we have the location map as well as the current zoning map. There does seem to be an error in our Elevate profile where, I don't know if you can see my mouse, there's sort of a strip of land here that connects all the way to that road that is not reflected on our current GIS. And here's the comprehensive plan as well as the site conditions map. And here are just some site photos of the property, such as from the current driveway, current structures on the property, and a hayfield, which is what it's currently used as. We have received, staff has received no letters of support. However, we have received 174 pieces of remonstrance against this petition. One piece of remonstrance was received after this packet was published. 148 pieces of remonstrance were delivered via signed postcards, such as the one on the right. Said postcards were scanned as PDFs and then emailed to staff. It should be noted that several individuals delivered multiple items of remonstrance, such as sending an email and then separately sending one of the postcards on the right, or simply sending multiple emails. Each item of remonstrance was counted separately, however, towards the overall total of 174. Of this 174 pieces of remonstrance, an estimated 46 were provided by remonstrators who have an address within a quarter mile of this petition site. In addition, it was asked of staff if remonstrance for the prior rezone, REZ-21-1, could be added to a remonstrance for PUO-23-7. After some discussion, staff decided to include this information in the staff report as is Exhibit 9, but the remonstrance for REZ-21-1 was not counted towards the overall count of 174 remonstrance pieces. And here's the remonstrance we received after the packet was sent out. This was received by staff on January 14th, 2024. And no other remonstrance was received. And I will give the commission a second to read this should they like.
Thank you.
And so staff recommends forwarding a negative recommendation to the county commissioners based on the findings of fact, specifically that the proposal design does not meet many of the purpose statements in the PUD Chapter 811. This proposal could be more in line with a medium residential density to transition from other nearby existing residential development in the area. The Plan Commission is currently drafting the county development ordinance and would like to see a discussion in regards to the proposal under the CDO as opposed to creating a new PUD. And finally, the comprehensive plan suggests neighborhood commercial also be integrated, which is not included in this petition.
Okay, well, thank you for reviewing that with us. That was very good and very thorough. Do members of the Plan Commission have questions for Mr. Brown or for the rest of the planning staff?
I just have an embarrassing thing to ask.
Yes, Mr. Enright Randolph.
I have to use the restroom.
Okay, we'll take,
30 or a minute.
we'll see you when you get back.
I had too much coffee today. It's cold outside.
Okay, we'll see you when you get back, okay. 5-minute break, okay, so we'll take a 5-minute break for everybody, sorry. Everyone will take a 5-minute break and be back. I'm gonna reconvene this meeting, is it okay, Mr. Brown? Are you, ready to, yeah. So I'd like to call the meeting back to order, PUO-23-7. This is, the Trails at Robertson Farm. And Mr. Brown was about ready to begin the review, the staff review of the project. So let's continue.
Actually, I think we were at the point where.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes. So, does anybody have questions for Mr. Brown?
I'll just state for the public's benefit that this has been here before. There might be a few differences and everything, but just we've experienced discussing this petition several times now. So
Thank you, Mr. Enright Randolph. Do any other members of the Plan Commission have questions for staff? Okay, well then the petitioner's representative may come up and together you have 15 minutes to review the case with us, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much. Daniel, do you have the package?
Yes.
Okay.
So handed out during the break
Yes.
was a packet to the Plan Commission members that we received this afternoon. Items that were also available to public. I think I saw them on a chair back there, but others should also be on the table occupied by Randy Cassidy, the gentleman in blue, who's currently handing them out.
Thank you, Daniel. Well, good evening, everyone. I know it's a late night. I will try to be brief. And you know, I feel horrible that we're keeping folks away from rooting for the Hoosiers. They look like they need our help right now.
What's the score?
It's not good, ma'am. It's not good. It's not good.
Sorry.
But we'll try to get through this quickly so we can watch the end, and hopefully there will be a comeback by then.
Okay.
I'm Donnie Atkins. I'm here with my partner Kevin Schmidt, and Daniel Butler from Buy Nathaniel has been supporting us for a while now. Thank you for all the comments you shared at the PRC meeting. And so we want to address some of those and tell you about some of the updates since the last time we got to have a discussion. So if you could go to the first slide, please, Daniel, or the next one, please. Our goal tonight is to listen. So we really hope we can achieve a dialogue, and we are very amenable to taking any concerns and any feedback on what we can do to improve this or to answer any concerns that anyone in the community has, and especially this panel. You know, right now, the property is currently zoned RE1, and we continue to struggle with a way to make that a viable solution as is to help meet the attainability, the attainable housing problems that are still persistent in this community. We want to develop a neighborhood that has a legacy and is diverse and will be an excellent place to raise a family. And at RE1, we continue to struggle with that challenge. hence our request and us being here tonight. With your comments and with your feedback, we want to change this and modify, and we are very happy to do so to meet that need. A lot of people care about this property, as evident from some of the remonstrances, and we care about it as well. And we hope we can combine all that care to come up with a solution that provides housing for this community. There's a little breakdown there in the bottom of a compare and contrast between what RE1 will look like versus our proposal here as a PUD, and which is similar to what is currently described in the comp plan. And what this comes down to, again, is the difference in lot costs to develop 1 acre lots versus something that's akin to what is in our PUD. And to do so, you know, is to get the density is what we need to provide these attainable homes. If you could go to the next slide, please, Daniel. So this is our vision. This has been consistent for a while, and that is, again, to provide attainable housing that, you know, helps the major employers in town bring employees here, develop the tax base, and again, provide a place to raise your family. We want a neighborhood that respects and remains well connected to the environment, and we've worked really hard to put together a plan that we believe achieves that, and again, creates a legacy. If you could go to the next slide, please, Daniel.
By the way, just for the record, I believe that Jackie is the one presenting right now.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, Jackie, if you could go to the next slide. There's a lot in here, but this is a summary, and Daniel touched on it, is what's new in our petition. So, and one of the questions that came out of the PRC is why a PUD now? And the quick answer to that is diversity. We want to develop a neighborhood that has a diverse set of housing products for a wide variety of family budgets. We don't want to develop a cookie cutter neighborhood. If we just had a single zone, that locks us into, again, something more akin to a cookie cutter development. The diversity from a PUD will allow us to offer many different products, something similar to Winslow Farms, where there might be paired patios, to single family homes, and even townhomes mixed in. So what does this PUD that we're coming forward to you with have? It offers the ability to have these diverse lots that may transition. We've suggested it, and of course we're open to any feedback, that may transition from maybe more dense in the north, similar to Baywood and what's above us, to less dense in the south with larger lots and larger homes, which would be more similar to the properties that are adjacent to us on the south side. In here is also, so again, we want to offer single family homes, but also paired patio homes, townhomes potentially, and then what's really unique about this offering is, again, to help provide a more competitive, a lower cost housing solution. We have a multi-family 2-story building that will have between 10 to 21 to 2 bedroom units within it. And again, that will of course be the most affordable product, and again, add to the diversity. Now, with all that, again, we're open to any feedback on what anyone suggests would be a better mix, and even potentially no mix. But that's what we're here for, is for a discussion. One more piece about what's new since the last time we're here is that there is this uncertainty with annexation. We are in Zone 1B, and there is this uncertainty about where that goes. We don't necessarily want the density that the city might impose upon us if annexation goes forward. And so we are looking to this body to help us with a solution to allow us to move forward that would not be nearly as dense as that may end up being if annexation goes forward, which again is uncertain, but we are hoping to, we would love to get some decisions and a potential path forward before that. Let me quickly review what we've retained from the last time. So first is we have a will serve letter from the city that they will support this with the utilities. And that's what makes this property so unique, is we have sewer already there. This neighborhood will still feature all the great amenities we proposed before. So the terrace park, dog park, and all those will be well connected within the neighborhood. On the environmental side, we utilized numerous local experts to handle all the environmental considerations, and we are, well beyond all that. We have an incredibly robust drainage design that will be one of the first now to achieve the new critical watershed requirements. And the neighbors and people downstream have all experienced terrible flooding events, and this property with this drainage design that is incredibly robust will reduce the outflow by 80%. That's been reviewed by Ms. Thatonia and concurred with. Our density within here, again, remains something akin to the lower density scale. It's in between, as proposed right now, it's in between low density and medium density. And we think that is great for this transitional area if you look at our neighbors to the north and our neighbors to the south. And then finally on the roads, County Highway has approved this design and said that we've gone above and beyond. So again, final summary here is we are soliciting for a PUD to give us that diversity so we don't create a cookie cutter neighborhood. Now, Jackie, if you could go to the next slide, please. I just want to spend a little bit more time on what's unique about this property and why it's so special. So number one, we have all of the utility service there already. It is this plan that we put forward, we believe, but of course one feedback is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the urbanizing plan. Our density, again, is consistent with the neighborhoods to the north and the south, and we're in between. Our surrounding roads, as I mentioned, are major collectors. We will meet the critical watershed requirements, and will provide access to the beautiful county trails that are adjacent to us. If we could go to the next slide, please, Jackie. So before we heard a lot of concerns, and I'll go through these very quickly, but we have lots of backup on these, and we were happy to share in the future or any time in between of some of these concerns. So the first we talked about is the flooding concern. And again, we will reduce the outflow by 80% on that. Next, that we're gonna have a negative impact on the environment and trees. We have committed, and we will increase the number of trees once this neighborhood is done by more than 50% of what's there. We've done a tree survey. We know exactly the ones that we may have to remove. We know exactly the ones we will keep, and we also will, of course, plant many more trees as the neighborhood is developed. In addition, all of the wetlands that are adjacent to us on that northeast corner will be protected, and all of our developments will be well far away from them, or well enough away from them. We've talked about traffic. So Victor Pike is considered a major collector, and with the analysis that's been done by the engineering team, we will still be well below the 2,500 number for the lowest level of congestion on any county road. That the PRC meeting, there was discussion about the power lines that go through the neighborhood. So we've of course reviewed that with Duke. There are zero concerns for that. These power lines, as we've developed, or as we've not integrated, but as that are part of the design of the PUD, are consistent with what the neighborhoods to the north of us look like as those power lines go to the north. And over 30 years, there's been many studies on this, and none of them has showed an adverse impact. There was talk about the karst features. We believe our design incorporates everything needed to deal with those and to mitigate those. But of course, if there's additional concerns, we're happy to hear them. And then on the density side, we have a slide in the backup. I won't go into it, but again, we think, the density we're proposing is well suited for the transitional area between the more dense neighbors in the north, whether that be Baywood and Eagleview, and of course the less dense neighbors in the south. If you could go to the next slide, please. So in summary, again, our goal tonight is to listen. And so we really welcome and are soliciting any feedback you may have. We are very open to changing, adjusting, improving this design in any way, members of this panel think would improve it and mitigate any concerns. There is in this package we provided lots of additional backup, and if you'd like to go into deeper detail, feel free to. Or as tonight, we're happy to go through that with you all as well. Though it's getting late, but we're happy to address any concerns to the best ability that we can as of right now. Thank you. And more importantly, thank you to Daniel and Jackie for all the effort you put into getting us here tonight. Thank you very much. We know it's a big package.
Thank you, Mr. Adkins. Thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to turn to my members of the Plan Commission to see if there are any questions for the petitioner, Mr. Adkins. Does anyone here have questions for the petitioner? Okay, I don't think at this time we do. So what we'll hear now is from the public, and you'll have an opportunity for rebuttal if there's negative input. Okay, thank you so much. So are there members of the public who are in favor of this petition? If so, please come to the podium, make yourself known on virtually by raising your hand, or if you're calling in, please let us know if you're in favor of this petition. Now, I can't see anybody calling in or the participants, you know. Okay, if there's anyone who is here to speak in opposition to this petition, please come to the podium. Mr. Loftman, it's good to see you today. So have you signed in? I have. Oh, great. Okay, well, you have only 3 minutes. I'm sorry.
My name is Guy Loftman. I have lived at 4835 South Victor Pike over 47 years, right next to the Robertson farm. I urge you to vote no on PUO 23-7. I first want to address Wyoke's contention that portions of privately owned lots can be counted as permanent open space. Daniel or Jackie, could we see page 43 of the packet? On the lower right side of this exhibit it says site plan with open space, and the box on the lower right, in it is the last statement is 70% of required open space shown on designated lots. So they're putting 7.81 acres on lots. And if you look here at this strip going up the middle.
We see it. It's kind of grayed out.
I couldn't see it when I get close. That is the Duke easement. So what they're doing is taking having the Duke easement count as open space. Jackie, would you go to page 16? The zoning ordinance requires the Plan Commission to consider various factors. And number 5, as on page 18, which number 5 on page 18 includes lots will be developed, includes the physical design and extent to which the plan provides for and protects common open space. As I understand it, protected common open space means land held in common that is openly accessible to the residents of the PUO. Common ownership is incompatible with private ownership. Protected common open space cannot be located on private lots. Second, I want to address the implications of the multifamily housing. On page 31 of it says individual homeowner, it says lots will be developed, individual home construction and sold. But now they've added a 24-unit multifamily building. A multifamily building cannot be constructed by the individual lot owners. The PUO is inconsistent with the its own homeowners association provision. Thus, it includes privately owned lots in open space, and it includes individual home development, requires individual home requirement, but includes a 24-unit multifamily dwelling. These are fatal flaws please vote no on PUO 23-7. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loftman. Are there other members of the public who would like to speak in opposition? And have you already signed in, sir? And please come up and introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Greg Mosley. I'm the principal of Lighthouse Christian Academy at 1201 West That Road. We would be located directly next. Thank you. We would be located directly next to the proposed development. So the trustees of Lighthouse Christian Academy and the students and parents and I bring you greetings this evening and thank you for your service. But we're very concerned about the amount of traffic. We're very concerned with noise. We're very concerned with congestion. The location of Lighthouse was purposely to be in a semi-rural location where we could be away from those kinds of distractions and threats to the safety of our children when it comes to traffic and movement in that community. We're also concerned about, well, we love how everything looks out there. We're concerned with that, with the environment being cluttered with multiple houses. We're concerned about drainage. We're concerned about a lot of different things, but mostly with the loss of the environment that we so cherish out there for our kids can play outside and feel safe with land that's unmolested on 3 sides. So we very much would like you to consider the fact that that part of the community, that part of the county has been a very kind of pastoral, agricultural environment that has contributed to the quiet and the serenity of that location. As our children play outside, we're less worried about them getting too close to traffic. We're less worried about them being exposed to elements that might be dangerous to them than we are about them maybe falling and skinning a knee. So we would like you to consider carefully cramming every available space in that part of the county with housing and asphalt and planted street trees and so on, and to keep that part of the county looking the way it looks now. And we're very interested in taking care of our neighbors, and we're very interested in being a part of the community. But we feel like it's our duty to step up when we feel like that kind of lifestyle might be threatened for us. And so we appreciate your time. We appreciate the time the gentleman has put into preparing a presentation to help us answer all of our questions. But it doesn't make me feel any better about what I see. And I hope that you will vote no and to keep that area open and keep the grass green and keep the flowing meadows that we enjoy where they are, so that we can enjoy the safety and security of that location that we've chosen years and years ago.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley. Dr. Mosley, thank you. Are there other members of the public here who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Please come forward. I see that online, Patty and Dave Bush have raised their virtual hand, and if they could be unmuted, we'd like to hear from them.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Patricia Bush. I am an adjacent property owner to the petition site, which I oppose. This petition proposes 145 single-family lots and 1 multifamily lot equaling 146 lots. Page 18 in your packet state during the 3 phases of build-out, up to 180 units could be built. Page 22 and page 33 indicate as many as 10 to 24 units could be in the multifamily building. Combined single-family and multifamily units could equal 200 plus units. That's 5 times the current zoning of RE1 for this property. On page 37, a letter pertaining to Southern Monroe water capacity states, and I quote, "There will be no fire protection, and any hydrants associated with this project will be flush hydrants," end quote. Please note the purpose of flush hydrants is to purge dirty water and debris from the water lines. Open burning and fireworks are allowed in the county with minimal side setbacks of 5 feet, buildings as tall as 30 to 42 feet, on-street parking impairing emergency access, and no fire hydrants. The fire risk is high. How does this provide safety for residents and adjoining property owners? In 2020, 3 houses on South Wiggins Street sustained heavy fire damage. According to a press release, the investigators believe the fire burned 10 minutes before emergency personnel were notified. The fire is believed to have spread to other houses because of how close the houses are and the construction methods, according to the release. And I quote, "While the homes are built to meet code, they provide very minimal protection from the horizontal spread of fire into attic space from adjoining structures," end quote, the release read. And that release is by Daniel Bradley and Andrew Smith of WRTV. I contend this proposed development is way too dense and incompatible with its rural setting. This property should remain as RE1. Please deny PUO-23-7. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty, and thanks for showing up again this evening. Is your husband going to be speaking as well?
He is.
Okay, we'd like to hear from you, Mr. Bush. Dave?
Thank you. Good evening. I'm David Bush. I live at 1250 West Church Lane. I own the 16-plus acre horse farm immediately south of the proposed development. In April of 2021, you were presented with a PUD proposal, which after much discussion and public opposition was pulled from consideration in favor of a proposal to rezone the property to originally high density, then ultimately medium density. This proposed rezone was unanimously voted down by the county commissioners on September 29, 2021. Now you are being presented with a very similar proposal to the one which was withdrawn in 2021. The only material changes as of this time that I see is that the density has been increased from 145 lots to as many as 200 plus housing units, which includes a 3-story condominium that has been added, or 2 to 3-story condominium that has been added alongside the Clear Creek Trail. Planning staff has forwarded to you a negative recommendation based upon findings of fact, specifically, that the proposed design does not meet many of the proposed statements in the PUD Chapter 811. For example, on page 15 of the packet, staff recommends the petitioner should consider density transitions from the proposed development to the existing neighborhood. This plan does not provide adequate buffers or transitions between those areas. Instead, it shoehorns high-density housing into a rural neighborhood with low-density housing. The highest concentration of housing units in the planned development are on the very small lots at the outer edge of the proposed development, lining the Clear Creek Trail and the Bloomington Rail Trail. If approved, this plan will result in a visual wall of narrowly spaced 2 to 3-story houses looming over the trail, or replace a rural, low-setting density of homes, woodlands, and pastures with a high-density, urban-like cluster of dwellings in the middle of the county. Most adjoining properties are larger than any of the proposed single-family residential lots. Many are much larger. And over 160, well, I guess 174 citizens have come forward now in opposition to this proposed PUD, with more remonstrances coming in daily, plus over 125 area residents went on record in opposition to the 2021 medium density rezone attempt. The current zoning of RE1 is consistent with this neighborhood. This proposal is not. I urge you to vote no to the proposed PUO 23-7. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Are there other members of the public who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Please raise your virtual hand or make yourself known. I don't see anyone, do you? Okay, so that's still Diana Cross. Oh yes, Diana Cross. If you could unmute Diana Cross, you will have 3 minutes to speak. Did she disappear?
Oh, no.
There's another hand raised.
Okay, did I unmute myself just then?
We can hear you. Thank
Oh,
you,
good.
Diana
Thank you.
Cross. You have 3
Thank
minutes.
you for your time. I'm a relatively new resident to the area.
We can't hear you.
Clear Creek. And
We're cutting in and out, so we have not started your clock yet. So if you could try to either stay where you have a higher signal or speak more directly into the microphone, we'd be grateful.
Thank you. I will do my best. Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name's Diana Cross. I live on South Rogers, just the other side of Clear Creek along the Bloomington Rail Trail. We were attracted to the neighborhood. We were recent homeowners here, attracted because of the semi-rural nature, and have experienced a lot of traffic already on South Rogers and that road and Church Road, to the point where it's really not safe. There's no sidewalks. There's a lot of traffic. There is a new development right across the street on Rogers, which I would assume addresses this issue of the need for middle-class housing. One of the commissioners earlier mentioned that she would like to see some data on this housing shortage, and I think that's a point well taken. People state it as if it's fact, but I don't know the data, and I haven't seen this desperate need for more middle-class housing in the neighborhood. This proposal is called the Trails Development Opportunity, which sounds like some public relations person dreamed up this title, and I find it highly suspect just from that name. I'm also suspicious when all we see are assurances that this is going to reduce flooding by 80%. That's a very nice figure, but I'd like to see some facts that are associated with that allegation. I am concerned that this is going to decrease the diversity and the rural nature of this area. And I am also concerned that they are repeating this process after it's been voted down unanimously in the past. And as was previously stated, all they're doing is coming back and adding more housing. So I am very much opposed to this and appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Thank you. Are there other members of the public who would like to speak? Do you see anyone? Okay, so the petitioner has 5 minutes to rebut. I think maybe somebody has their microphone on their Zoom call, so if that could be muted up here. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. You've heard the concerns of the neighbors and you've seen the remonstrances, so you have a 5-minute rebuttal period.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us that. How about we go in reverse order? Jackie, would you mind going to page 11 of that package that we gave you? On housing, a lot of debate. We've got data. This is the best data out there that we think we can find. Of course, if other people have other data, we're happy to consider that. But this comes from the Indiana Association of Realtors. It's also buttressed by numerous articles in the Herald Times, business and community leaders like Peter Yonkman and Ms. Pearl at the BEDC about how shortage of housing right now is impacting this community negatively, and that there is an issue here. So objectively, this is just months of supply. Jackie, I don't know if you can zoom in on that right on the right the table right there. So we can draw a line at in between 199 and 200,000, or we can draw a line in between 299 and 300,000, or 399 and 400,000, wherever you want to draw that line. But if you look at the right side, that's December 2023 supply. A healthy supply is well accepted around the world as a 6-month supply. And this is the data of the homes available, not just single-family homes, but multifamily, everything that's available in this county. And we are well below 6-month supply. The highest number there is when you get to the very high end, between 375 and 399 at 1.9 months. But if you look at anything else, it's much lower than that. So there's some objective data. I totally understand people have different opinions about whether it's valid or not, but that's the most objective we got, in addition to everything we consistently hear being reported from our business and community leaders. I'll let Danny handle the open space and the fire hydrants and the number of lots.
All right. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that we're just open to dialogue on this project. It is a little bit different from last time in that we're open to kind of hearing neighbors' concerns and hearing your concerns. And so here's some of the answers on the fly, but we hope to bring this back in February with maybe adjustments, or after hearing what you have to say as well, to make those adjustments. Right now, we've heard already that they're a little concerned about the density on the south side. And also, Lighthouse sounds a little bit concerned about some of the density up there near them. And so that's something that we can adjust. That's something that we can kind of either move or get rid of. We're open to that. That's what we're trying to do here, is have a conversation about what kind of housing is right here. One of the reasons that we did the multifamily kind of complex there, which we saw the Blind Squirrel project get approved, and we were just wondering if that's something the county wanted. But again, we're not locked into these types of things. We're just trying to do something that looks like a variety or a diversity of housing that might work here. That open space that you saw that was being discussed, that's correct. That the only pieces on lots would be down that Duke easement. We did count that towards some of our designated open space. The rest of it was trying to give a buffer between the trail and the homes. And so he was correct, but there's a good majority of it that will be on its own lot. But we did count the down through that easement. Perhaps, there'd be something like a walk that would go through there. I'm not sure, but that was the 30% of the required open space does go on those lots. So that is correct of how we're counting it right now. Right now, we are trying to help solve any issue. We heard concerns about, walkability along Victor Pike. And so with this project, you'll get an all-purpose trail that will connect the trail that, the Clear Creek Trail, all the way up to the sidewalk that is along Lighthouse now. So we'll help with that with this project. We do, this configuration would be a similar configuration to what you'd have if it was 1 acre lots. And so we'd have a similar road layout. We wouldn't bother that flood area to the north, to the northeast, even if we did 1 acre lots. It would be a similar road configuration, something that we've worked with Highway before and now again on, and then also emergency services. That's all I can add. I'll take any other questions if you got them, but thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Well, I turn now to members of the Plan Commission for further discussion. I'd like to have a copy of that Realtor housing inventory, and I'd like to make another comment that the market in Bloomington is artificially manipulated because Indiana University is taking off the market a lot of homes that would otherwise be for sale. Soon as one goes up for sale, IU scoops it up, and so the market is being artificially manipulated and suppressed, and so basically it appears to me that Bloomington is for sale to the highest bidder, and that highest bidder is IU. You know, so, and so we've had over 1,000 homes, an increased sale of homes, especially in the core neighborhoods that are affordable and approachable for families, have been taken offline. So just to throw that out there, I like to see those statistics, understand where the data came from, and just look at it a little bit more deeply. But with that being said, is there any other discussion on this project? Or I also would like to say that every time I'm here in the Plan Commission, I don't know how many years, and we have one of these PUDs go into effect, it's a very unpopular to the people who've invested in the PUD and homes in the PUD to then have a big apartment complex go up at the end. They just don't like that. And as much as people espouse the idea of mixed housing types and et cetera, when push comes to shove, they don't like it. It's not something that I think the, you know, people who live in Indiana and move out into the countryside are looking for in terms of their products that they purchase in housing. Is there anybody else would like to make a comment or have any insights that or questions they'd like to share? I'm sorry, Mr. Cockrum. Yes, Mr.
May I just touch on that real quick?
Yes.
We are very flexible.
Yes.
If that's a showstopper and we think that's going to be a concern for this community, those residents, or this council, we're happy to work with you on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I can't see if Julie Thomas or Dee Owens have their hand raised. Okay. Yes, Dee?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I was trying to figure out where the button was. Got it. You know, how long have I been on this commission? This is my 4th year, I guess. And I have never seen remonstrances this thick or this heartfelt, maybe this heartfelt, but and I live out where I live in the country because I moved from a place that did this exact thing, that got permission to put a bunch of houses up in my backyard. It was their property. They had every right to sell it. And then their county okayed the building of those houses, but I moved. And so I understand what the remonstrators are talking about. I'm not sure that it's that many units are going to be able to be put into a spot like this in general, because it's just too much. And I hope that these gentlemen do not lose, you know, any money on this, but I think it needs to look entirely differently. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're not required to vote on this tonight. Did you have any other further comments or questions, Councilor Munson?
I have one, please, and that has to do with the transmission line right away. I think what I'm seeing is that there is, I need an enlargement of that map. It is in the center of your complex.
Yes.
And it doesn't look like it's in a lot. It looks like it's between lots. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We try to get it right in between.
Okay, and what is the plan for those, for the area in between lots? That is that considered common ground? What is it?
I'll let.
Yeah.
All the way up and down.
So this,
yeah.
This one and this one, those two will be on common lots and will be used for, I think one of them is kind of like a dog park look, and the other one will have a connection to the trail, to the inner kind of connectivity of the sidewalks within the complex, and then the one to the north would be something similar. But
That's on the north and the south, but are you asking about in between?
and the remainder is in
It's a non-buildable easement.
They belong to the properties. Yes, so it would be like a backyard.
It would be like a backyard.
It would be like an open backyard with a non-buildable.
Okay.
It's very similar to the neighborhoods to the north.
Yes, I've seen that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Enright Randolph?
Yeah, this seems very similar as it's been stated. I'm sure you're very familiar of the process, how it moved from the Plan Commission and how it moved forward. I think I'm gonna just kind of address the elephant in the room a bit, that it seems like we have some property owners, developers that are interested in investing in the community and trying to figure out what could work here. Now, the underlining zone permits 34 lots. There could be a few different restraints that, might take away a couple lots. We don't have to go that far into it. Then we're looking at what you're asking now with what I'm just going to use kind of your summary to 125 to 150 lots. That's quite a big jump. I'll just mention it, but I don't want to digress into the fact that there's an annexation things going on, and this could be lumped into the city's zoning if that occurs, or it could stay in the county zoning. That has to play out. So I do think that's worth a consideration as we're looking at this, to see if there is a happy medium. I'm still a little price tag shocked when I see the 125 to 150 as less than 400,000. I will say I have coined your term attainable because I don't know how else to classify that, because it seems quite costly there too. So, I just want to bring that out. It's not like we're necessarily going to deliver a product that's like 100,000 to 200,000. And I think you're giving us numbers as fair as possible, but we can't dictate the market price for those. But I hope we move this forward. I hope we figure out a way to have a conversation to figure out what could potentially go to this in this site. And if you just don't find it, within your interest to want to invest in a lot that can only, be parsed out to 34 homes, then I think we need to know that information and really kind of know where that sweet spot is, so we can really make an informed decision of how to address some of these housing needs that we have. This was happening the same time Southern Meadows was going in, and we did have our employers in this community come and speak to us saying we need housing. So I know that there's quantifiable information that you presented. I know that there's difference of opinion on that data, but I do think that we have an opportunity here to find a medium to potentially find options to buy. So I moved away from affordable to attainable to just options to buy. And I think that's something we're lacking too. And I really hope that we move this forward and planning finds a way to have this conversation to present something that isn't basically a wash of what we just looked at and a wash and rinse, I guess. So that's my comment.
Thank you so much for that. The multifamily complex, we put that in there to hopefully provide a lower price point option. That's why we know, the more competitive we can be, the better for everybody. And that's why that's put in there. Again, we're open if the community doesn't think that's best, but that's why that's there.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion, Mr. Pittsford?
Yeah, I just have a question. I looked up the property transferred from the Robertson Trust to you. Was this a public sale? Was the property listed publicly?
Oh, yes, it was listed
And had it been on the market for a period of time?
It was listed for a long time. It
Okay.
was, and it was public, yes, sir.
Okay, so,
I think it was listed for 2 years. It was listed for a while. Yes, sir.
okay, all right. I was just curious, you know, it seems to me there's a lot of interest in this property, yet it languished on the market for 2 years before y'all bought it, so apparently there's a lot of interest in looking at it, just not owning it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're getting close to we're not going to vote on it tonight. The next hearing will be next month. But we are moving close to the 9 o'clock hour, which is our bewitching hour. We have to move, you know, there are members of the audience who've been here since the beginning. And there are 2 cases left. One is kind of an amendment to the zoning ordinance. And then number 5 is the Technology Park PUD. Now, I would like to make a motion that we continue to hear this tonight and that we remain in session because people have been waiting on us. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I move that. Does anybody?
I second.
Okay, we need a vote on whether or not we end our meeting tonight, and we've just made a motion to continue this evening.
Okay, it's been
Could I ask one question
Yes.
first?
Yes.
Are we just going to do number 5 and then postpone number 6? Because that's just us. That's not, shouldn't be having any audience, right?
We can do that, and maybe D, it would be suitable to do that at the next administrative meeting since it can be considered part of the CDO. I'm amenable to that.
That makes sense to me. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So just one more petition, which would be PUO-23-8 Bloomington Technology Park Outline and Plan Amendment 7. So a vote yes is a vote to hear that petition.
Okay.
Margaret Clemens.
Yes.
Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Scott Ferris.
Yes.
Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Dee Owens.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
They're not enforcing the meters, so sure.
Okay. Julie Thomas.
Yes.
It's after 9
All right.
o'clock.
The motion carries 7-0. Thank you all for
Okay.
your time.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you also for your patience to the public who are here for PUO-23-8 Bloomington Technology Park PUD Outline Plan Amendment 7 Preliminary Hearing, and a waiver of the final hearing has been requested concerning 3.8 plus or minus parcel in Van Buren Township, Section 1 at 1444 South Liberty Drive. And Mr. Myers, we get to hear from you tonight. So.
Thank you. All right, so this is at 1444 South Liberty Drive. It is a parcel in the Bloomington Technology Park subdivision and is also zoned Bloomington Technology Park PUD. It is listed as Lot 14A of that subdivision, and it's approximately 3.8 acres. And they are requesting to amend the Bloomington Technology Park PUD ordinance. The current site is zoned PUD, Bloomington Tech Park, and the purpose is to permit a light industrial uses. The petitioner is now requesting a PUD outline plan amendment to permit the same list of limited commercial uses that are currently available for other lots within the same PUD. The impetus for this rezone is due to a request to utilize the property as a hotel, which was determined to not be a permitted use under the current PUD guidelines. However, the use of a hotel is permitted on adjacent lots. Staff did receive an email this afternoon from the petitioner's representative that stated that the discussion about placing a hotel on the site, while it did drive the petition, it is not the 100% what they are planning on putting on the property. It's just something that was discussed that brought up this idea of doing a planned unit development outline plan amendment. The preliminary plat for Bloomington Technology Park was originally approved by the Plan Commission on February 2nd, 1998, which created 13 lots. It was final platted that same year, 1998. And then eventually in 2001, the outline plan and rezone to a PUD was established, and that was for lots 2 through 18. So between 1998 and 2001, there's been many reconfigurations of the subdivision. New lots were created, lots were adjusted, and then since the PUD was established in 2001, we saw multiple iterations of amendments for this plan unit development. Specifically, Ordinance 2004-44 was for Lot 14, which is the lot under consideration, and that was an amendment to the PUD outline plan to permit a wireless communications facility and deviate from setback standards. On the screen here, you can see a breakdown of the current list of permitted uses for Bloomington Technology Park. Again, Lot 1 is excluded from the original PUD rezone. Lots 6 and 9 were designated as stormwater detention areas. Lots 2, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 all have uses under the light industrial category. And then lots 3, 4, 5, 7, 15, 16, 17, and 18 have these assorted limited commercial uses, as you can see on the screen. So here I have the zoning map that shows it listed as PUD. And then I also have on the right side of the screen the comprehensive plan map that designates it as MCUA employment, MCUA standing for Monroe County Urbanizing Area. And that district is defined as employment-oriented uses, including light industrial, manufacturing and assembly, research and development facilities, flex/office space, construction, trades, warehousing, and other types of commercial uses. I did include a snippet from the Highway Department's comments here on the bottom of the screen, stating that the driveway to the development should be 30 feet wide at the intersection, and that they do not believe that a traffic study would be necessary for this outline plan amendment. This image you see on the screen is also included in your packet. The white lettering for the lots in this subdivision indicate that they are for the commercial uses that you saw on the couple screens ago. And the yellow are the lots that are the light industrial lots. Lot 6 and 9 are identified in blue as the drainage lots, and then lot 1 in red is not included in this PUD. So you can kind of see a layout with these colors of what types of uses are permitted throughout this subdivision and PUD. Lot 14A, you can see here where I'm hovering the cursor, is the subject lot that would be adding on the additional uses that are available to the lots that have commercial uses, which is 3, 4, 5, 16, 17, and lot 7 as well. Site conditions map on the right side of the screen. It is in several critical watersheds. It's right on the line between Sinking Creek Critical Watershed and the West Fork Clear Creek/Clear Creek Critical Watershed. There are some steep slopes on the property that would have to be considered for the commercial development. And then here I have some pictures of a site visit. I'll just scroll through these. We can come back to any of them if necessary.
I want to hear you say those watersheds again as you flip through those pictures.
And then here on the screen, I have the letter to the Plan Commission stating their request for the Plan Unit Development Outline Plan Amendment that will be adding the commercial uses that are available on the other lots as stated, in addition to the the light industrial uses currently available to Lot 14A. And then they, in that same letter, they go on to indicate those same uses as identified in the current ordinance for this PUD. Here we have a rezone exhibit provided by the petitioner. And here we have the most recent plat amendment that established Lot 14A and Lot 14B in this particular section of the Bloomington Technology Park subdivision. Overall, staff recommends a positive recommendation for the planned unit outline plan amendment request based on the findings of fact and the proposal's appropriateness with the Monroe County Urbanizing Area Plan. I will now take any questions.
Okay, are there questions for Mr. Myers? Yes, Mr. Enright Randolph?
I guess it's more for consideration, but there's a question in there. This southern part runs on Constitution, and there is that goal to create a trail through Constitution, I think, and then down through Liberty, but not the Liberty that goes through this. Have we looked into how that trail is being built out and kind of how it might impact this particular site? And I was trying to figure out, I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, it's a MPO project in the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP program. So just wondering if planning has looked at that. And if not, we should maybe just look at that as this conversation moves forward, because right now we have the ability to discuss it, since I do think we are on the north side of that of Constitution. Again, I'm not 100%, and I'm trying to recall this from memory with Mr. McKim. He was a big advocate of this trail. So just for planning to kind of look into if this does move to another hearing. If not, I'm sure maybe we could address this at a different time, but this is our opportunity to really look at it.
And I think Commissioner Thomas has her hand raised, so she probably can answer that question, because she's also been a great advocate of the trails.
Yeah, thanks. I was going to ask the same question of Ms. Ridge, so that's a question to be posed to Highway regarding perhaps a right of way or something, or the access for a short time period. The other thing is, I just want to verify with planning staff and with Highway if they are okay with everything on that commercial list, because while a petitioner may come in with a specific plan, they are really, a rezone is for everything on that list. And so we have to ensure that everything on that list is going to work in that area. So for example, I'm not sure convenience store would be, would fit well in terms of traffic. So I think this is the time to think about that. And I appreciate that they're saying to us that they may not want a hotel, but whenever we do a change like this, it could be any of the uses listed on that table. And I just wanted to verify that both planning staff and Highway have reviewed all of these uses and are okay with them. Thanks.
So there are two items here for responses from, if Ms. Ridge is on the telephone line. I can't see if she is, if Highway is on the telephone line, about the trail issue. And then the second one is the uses, the review of uses by staff.
I believe Lisa is online.
Oh, poor Lisa, you've been really hanging in there for us tonight.
Okay, let me, we can answer question number 2, and I'll check with Lisa.
So with the uses on the site, I'll go click to the screen here. A lot of those uses are already available within this PUD. All of the lots that are in white already have all of those uses available within this PUD. So the review of these uses, there are certainly an opportunity of the Planning Commission to restrict some of those through this process. But given the comprehensive plan and the presence of these uses in the area already, planning staff felt that a recommendation for a positive recommendation to the county commissioners was fit.
Okay. Okay, and have we been able to connect with Lisa Ridge? Or if she's not online, we can go to the petitioner's representative, and maybe the petitioner may know himself. So, Mr. Borer, are you speaking or? Okay, well, please come to the podium and you'll have 15 minutes to go over your plan and your ideas with us. Even though it's late, we're not going to cut you off. Thank you.
Todd,
Todd,
can you
could
make
you
sure
turn
your
on-
mic is on? Sorry.
Hello?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So there are 7 or 8 other lots in this PUD that have these uses. And just for consistency wise, we stayed with the same uses. Right now, currently you can have limited industrial. I know it was discussed and Mr. Pittsford brought it up several times. Limited industrial has not been going in this area for years, and for foreseeable future, no one sees limited industrial in this area. And that is why we, brought this rezone or PUD amendment to the Plan Commission. And lastly, obviously the purpose of this area based on the urbanized area plan is to promote employment. With that limited industrial, employment has not developed on this lot, but yet it has on the other lots that have had these uses available. And so to promote the urban area plan, we do believe that by adding these uses, we can bring employment to this area and to this lot.
Well, thank you, Mr. Borgman.
And if you have any questions.
Do members of the Plan Commission have questions?
Yeah, I guess with the trail, was there any discussion on that, or are you familiar with the intent of us trying to build a trail there?
So I have seen, or heard about sketches, in these meetings, but there's been no discussion between myself or planning staff about the trail.
And I would hate to put Lisa on the hot seat if she needs a little time, but I'm not sure if we're going to waive the hearing or not. But do you know if you would be amenable, or the developer would be amenable to giving us access if needed to construct a trail?
Obviously there's going to be setbacks involved with any type of construction. I am sure if it fell on those setbacks on the edge of the property, within those setbacks, I don't see it being an issue.
Okay.
So I was able to locate the trail plans for the Cars Farm Greenway connector, and just looking at those plans and what we know and talking with Highway, it's stated as the purpose or the plan is a multi-use trail beginning at West Sierra Drive and ending at State Road 45. This goes along Constitution and Liberty, and this lot in particular that we're talking about, as you can see on the left-hand side picture, there's no frontage on this lot. It's accessible only by easement. So I'm 99% sure that this will not be part of the trail construction because they don't have frontage along that Liberty Drive.
It's not, yeah, it's not even an issue. So Thanks. Let's also continue to talk about, or do you have other questions for staff or for the petitioner? And are there members of the public who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please come to the podium. Please raise your virtual hand. I see that Ms. Anne Marie Bowling has her hand raised. Let's try to unmute her, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Bowling with IU Health, and IU Health owns the building and land parcel directly to the east of this parcel. I can't say I'm really, I'm pretty neutral on this. The only couple of comments I have is regarding the uses. You know, a liquor store would not really be a good comparable use for the health services that IU Health provides. Additionally, we would not want a competitor building an office, a medical office building right next door to us. So those are 2 points I just want to make. And then whatever use ends up at this location, I'm a little bit concerned about the ingress and egress, and I would be an advocate of some sort of stop sign, a 3-way stop sign at where our entrance is, leading back to that property, just to help with that traffic control. Does that make sense?
We have understood everything that you stated.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Are there
Thank you.
Are there other members of the public who'd like to speak in favor of this petition or in opposition to this petition? Please either come to the podium if you're still in the room, or raise your virtual hand on this interface, or please let us know some other way that you'd like to be recognized if you're calling in by phone. So if there's no one else, let's come back to members of the Plan Commission for further discussion. Was a waiver of final hearing requested? So, was it? So we could have a motion, theoretically, tonight. So there's either further discussion and or a motion.
I guess we just talked about not doing a waiver at the admin, but I'm comfortable with supporting a waiver. I was curious if anyone would rather us not do that.
Well, I wasn't at the admin. Was I at the admin? Yes.
Yeah, we've been
okay.
doing a lot of county development ordinance, CDO discussion.
I see. Mr. Pittsford, I think that Dee was speaking, and then Mr. Pittsford.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. This is not admin, right? So we're free to do that if we want. And if Jerry has something to say, then I'll back off. I was ready to make a motion.
Okay.
So Jerry?
Thank you, Dee. You know, I did a quick perusal of the uses and then at a review here. Staff, you didn't recommend removal of any of those, right, as a condition of approval? Was staff okay with everything listed?
Yes, staff did not offer any recommendations to remove any particular uses. That is up to the Plan Commission to strike any particular uses it sees fit.
But you didn't see, as far as, I mean, that was a poorly worded question. Staff did not see any uses that would be objectionable based on the location of the property or the zoning ordinance in terms of traffic flow, incompatible use to the area, anything like that.
With respect to the other lots in this PUD that already are offering these uses, and with respect to the Highway Department's comments and statements that a traffic study would not be necessary, and given the comprehensive plan designation for this property, staff felt that a positive recommendation with no conditions of approval was fit for this petition.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, I just, you know, I didn't see anything, but when the representative from IU Health says, well, we'd rather not have a liquor store there. I'm like, well, okay, is there any particular reason that staff would not want to see a liquor store there? You know, so anyway,
But
that's
the
all.
I'm sorry. Before, if you make a motion,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas has her hand raised before you do. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Oh, Dee was going to make a motion. I just had a
Yeah.
question.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but Commissioner Thomas?
Okay, so it sounds like the traffic sign, the stop sign that's being requested would be on the property, not on the road itself. Did I hear that correctly?
I don't, I mean.
Traffic study was the term that we used.
No, the representative from IU Health made a comment about seeking an additional a stop sign. And it sounded like it was on private property, not on the road itself.
But that becomes irrelevant because it's
Right,
incumbent.
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out where that stop sign would be that was requested.
Yeah, that particular, I can shed some light on that because that's where my doctor's office is. It's like a hill that you have to go up to get into the IU Health facility. And then you keep going back to this particular piece of property. And so if there were a lot of traffic coming in and out of there, I could see, I think the vision is good either direction, but I could see where it might become problematic because that area is getting more and more traffic-y all the time.
Right, so that's not relevant for us to consider because it's not on the public right of way. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Right. So Dee, if you would kindly make your motion.
Righty, I'll do that. In the matter of ZOA-23- I'm sorry, in the matter of PUO-23-8, the Bloomington Technology Park PUD outline plan, and including waiver of final hearing requested. This is for 3.8 plus or minus acre parcel in Van Buren Township at address 1444 South Liberty Drive. I'd like to move that we approve PUO 23-8.
Do you waive the final hearing? Do you request to waive the final hearing?
Yes, and waive the final hearing.
Great.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve PUO-23-8, which would send a favorable recommendation to the county commissioners for an amendment to the Bloomington Technology Park PUD. And the waiver of final hearing is included. So again, a motion in favor is a vote to send a favorable recommendation to the commissioners for this outline plan amendment. Scott Ferris?
Yes.
Cheryl Munson?
Yes.
Dee Owens?
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford?
Yes.
Julie Thomas?
Yes.
Margaret Clemens?
Yes.
Trona and Ray Randolph?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 7-0.
Well, thank you very much for your patience. It may have paid off. You don't have to come back in a month for this. So thank you. Have a
It
great
never hurts being last on a busy night.
Have a great evening, and thank you.
I'll just make one quick report that I'll be going up to the State House tomorrow. There's a hearing on the slope restrictions in the county, changing that to a 25% slope outside of the watershed areas. So that meeting is tomorrow in Indianapolis at 10:30 a.m. in the House of Natural Resources. So myself will be in attendance, and I believe some other county representatives.
Okay, are we meeting up? Or?
If you would like to discuss, yes, I can talk with you after about
Yeah.
logistics if people would like
And
to go.
Penny
so.
was
Yeah.
waiting. Okay, great.
So just wanted to give that report. I don't know.
Thanks.
Okay, no other reports. Thank you.
I have the old here.
Thank you. Are we adjourned?
It's
I'll move for adjournment.
Yeah.
Second.
Margaret.
Okay. Is there any objection to adjourning?
Nope.
It's
None.
9:26. Okay, well then,
Bye-bye.
have a great evening and thank you everyone. And Jackie, I have this signed.